the angles. You got the knowledge of the game, bro.
This is where you getting that the IQ.
Down. Like he's telling you what's going on. He was a bad husband. He was just doing things his way. He's apologizing to his wife, like, yo.
Pat ourselves on the back for that one, because if you ain't give yourself awards, I mean, who is?
Yeah, no boy.
Hey. We live, baby. You never want pre-production to bleed over to the main show.
Oh, no.
The A-roll, the B-roll, we'll just keep that what it is. For those that have been here before and after, it's high level, locked in the vault conversation. That's why we got a cipher lock on the door. Ooh. It's only a few that can get in here.
There we go.
Yo, it's been 3 months since the last time we got together.
3 months. Gosh, it feels like longer.
Really?
4/15. Today is 7/15.
Wow.
It's been 3 months. Yeah, a whole lot has happened these past 3 months, but we'll get into what we've been up to for the past few weeks. First of all, BNY Podcast showrunner, host, owner, CEO, Rick, right here with you. DT, what's going on with you? Flight delay. Where you headed to, Derek? You headed to Milwaukee? Where you going at?
What did you just say, interpreter?
Hey, Derek trying to get back home.
Oh, man.
You're an interpreter, look like.
Is that what he said?
Yeah.
I'm still technically a board member, so I can't be as loose as I would like to be. But after July 23rd, baby.
Come back from there.
So we'll be back next month.
Right, he coming out with a vengeance.
Yes. And also, too, apologies. We were supposed to get together in June, but had some audio issues, which I believe I have alleviated. So it's part of the engineering process. But, hey, let's get this show on the road. But first and foremost, let's go around the room. Obviously, we're here to talk with Charleston Charter, Part 2. Greg, what's going on, man? How you doing?
Doing well, man. I think actually, it might have been a blessing, the audio issue in June, because we were still working, and now we have a completed document. So I think we can talk about, since that last meeting, what's in it.
Okay.
What didn't make the cut.
What didn't make the cut.
And then what's the next step.
How's reception been on your travels around the county?
I think it's been good. I think depending on where you go in the county, you get different reception. And I think early on there was a lot of venting and consternation. I think towards the middle and end, we started to get more ideas from people, which is what we wanted. So I was very happy with the experience. I think I probably did about 60 meetings over the course of a year.
Wow.
So counting board meetings, which were about 27 board meetings, but counting all the town halls and public hearings and meeting with HOAs, Farm Bureau, Chamber. When I added it all up, it was around 60.
Getting ready for 2026?
I'm going to take a break for a little bit and then get ready for November 5th, 2024.
Hey, all right. Hey, let's vote.
Because we got to vote. So.
Got to vote one way or another. Carlos, what's up with you, man?
Nothing much. Still.
It's been a minute, man.
Yeah, still running around this county and 2 other counties trying to raise political awareness in the general Southern Maryland region area.
How's that working out?
Good days and bad days, but mostly good days, I say that. Yeah,
okay.
People out here want better. They want change. They want better. They want to hold people who are in power accountable and make life better for everyday people.
I don't disagree with that.
Right? Okay, there we go. See, look, something we agree on out here.
There was a lot of agreement last podcast
Right?
from both of you. That's why we get together and have
I'm
these.
proud of this. One thing I do want to say is that everything that I'm saying is my own personal views, not of my employer, any organization group that I don't represent anything, but me, myself, and I. One thing me and Beyonce got in common.
Angela, got a whole folder over there. Got highlighter notes.
I got everything.
You ready to get it? Let's get it.
We should have been more prepared.
What's going on? How you doing?
I'm doing all right. Things are settling out. When you said 3 months, I'm just like, oh my God, it's been a crap show for me for the last 2.5 months. So, personal wise, so I have not been focused on the Charles County thing very much. So. I had 2 family members who had terminal illnesses go in the hospice almost at the same time and passed away within 3 days of each other.
Rest in peace.
So we're on the other side of that now, funerals and all that. So now it's just down to the business part of it. But I really I didn't have the bandwidth to pay attention to my job and everything else that was going on in my life and what was going on in the county. So this is why I have all this. I'm trying to refer to stuff.
Yeah, well, tonight we have first of all, apologies for your losses.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. But
Thank you.
I'm glad to have you here with us, and we'll discuss, have an open conversation as usual. Before we begin, obviously you can hear a fan in the background. It is like 110 real field outside, like
Ooh,
it
look
is
at air
every day.
conditioning working.
Yeah, so so AC is very important, whether it's some of you believe in it or don't, but we do, so we're gonna keep that fan on the entire time. But yeah, so I've been doing some traveling too, work. Obviously, I'm still coaching, things of that sort. So I've been kind of in and out the loop. But today we're gonna just take a look at the submitted proposal.
Soon to be submitted.
Submitted.
It's final from the charter board, and next Tuesday, the 23rd, we'll give it to the commissioners.
Okay.
We'll formally transmit it to them.
So is that a daytime meeting?
I don't know. I think so. I've not received the agenda
Because we don't have the agenda
from Carol
yet, so we
DeSoto.
don't
Yeah,
know.
she'll probably email me, and I'm assuming they'll post it tomorrow, like a week out. I didn't
And-
see it this morning.
Okay, and as we talked about, they're not going to have public comment on that at the meeting, but we can probably submit it for some long afterwards.
They will have public comment as they do at the end of the month in
Okay.
general,
All right.
but this isn't a public hearing on the
Okay.
charter. So
All right.
at some point, I'm assuming it's 5 o'clock. Is that what they do now? 5 p.m. I think for almost every public comment, unless
I
they
can't
change
remember. It's been so long since
Yeah.
I've.
Thought it was 6.
Yeah, I think
Maybe it's six.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it. I thought 6 was typically public hearings, but whatever it is,
Yeah.
they'll do
Yeah.
public comment that day.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So everybody who's listening, Tuesday the 23rd, pay attention.
Tuesday the
Read the
23rd.
charter ahead of time so that you can get your comments in.
Speaking of which, we're gonna go over the charter too.
Yeah.
Ooh.
We'll go over it page by page, line by line, and then we'll just work our way through it. What we get to, we get to. What we don't, we're not gonna undercook it. We'll make sure we have a good conversation. Comments, all that, submit it. As far as everyone watching, and we'll just read as we go. So let me click on this web page. Give me a second. Hold on.
And while you're clicking, to Angela's point about the 23rd,
Let me
the
see, let me
commissioners
do it.
receive it. They cannot change the document. They'll ask us questions, I assume. We'll answer them, and then they'll publish it twice over a 30-day period. The Board of Elections will certify the ballot question with the commissioners, and it's probably simply going to say, do you approve of a charter for Charles County as written by the Charter Board? That's what it said in 2014 in very simple language, and then it'll be on the ballot. So there's no changes or nothing that's going to be dramatic on the 23rd. It's just us saying, here it is.
Okay.
How's it been interactions as far as commissioners? And
I don't have many direct interactions with them. I do try to provide updates as a part of public comment. There's a lot of stuff that goes back and forth on social, particularly between Commissioner Bowling and myself. Whenever I see people talk about the charter and if they say things that are not in the document, I feel like it's my job to correct it. Right? If they have a bully pulpit and they have a microphone and they have the ability in a public setting to say, well, the charter could have this in it, it's my job to say, because that's being spread widely,
right.
no, it's not in there. So I'll do that. But I don't like debate or anything like that.
The 50 Cent of Charles County.
All right. So before we begin, anyone have any open thoughts? They just want to talk on charter. As I switch over to this webpage, I think I got everything fixed
Really,
in my
good
head.
job.
Just open thoughts before we get started.
I
Go
think
ahead,
a fiscal statement is a fiction.
I'll say I think it's some good stuff in there. I think it's some things that are missing in there, but
That's probably a better way to say
I think it's
it.
a mix. I think it's some good stuff. Y'all put some really good stuff in there. I think it's some stuff I feel like should have been added as well.
We made some changes at the last minute, and there were things that we heard at a Bryan's Road Town Hall. There were things that we heard here. We made some changes. You know, the board didn't have the board had a 21-year-old age minimum for the county executive. And I tell you, every time we had a meeting somewhere, someone said that's too low. It needs to be 30. It needs to be 35.
35.
I've heard 45.
45.
It
Good
doesn't
Lord.
make now this, you know what? At this point, let's just bring in Trump and Biden and let them be the county executive.
Hey, Matt Miller Woods, you back up, baby. Out the bullpen.
So we did decide as a board towards the end, taking in that feedback, we made the age minimum for the county executive 24.
I think it's 25.
25?
Yeah, I think it's 25.
I have to look at the document. I've been
Which is
spaced
crazy,
out.
but
Well, you know, it's a proxy. It's a proxy for someone to perhaps have some military service that might include some rank, to have a college degree. It's a proxy. If you have someone at that age, maybe they have some life experience,
which is
other
still,
than just college.
I get what you're saying, but it's always been a weird argument to me because I look at it and say, it's not like you're saying if you are like this age, you will get in. It's up to everybody who's there to say, do I want to have you in there? So
Voters got to do their work.
yeah, so those limitations to me is like telling the voters, you don't get to choose who you really like. We're gonna make sure it's who we feel like you should be able to choose.
Who's
from.
we?
The people who put the numbers in place,
The people who put
the age limit in place.
I mean,
Because it's like,
we can't predict who the candidates are going to be.
well, you can predict who they won't be able to be now.
Well, you know, I think many of us heard loud and clear from the public on that. I think some of us, like me, thought that the job is for voters to vet candidates, and age is probably going to be used against you if you're fresh out of high school. You know, it's probably going to be used against you. But I think there was enough of us around the table who said that's an okay compromise, and the proxy probably does mean someone is likely to have trade experience, college degree, they've served time in the military, and they're bringing that experience to
And we've seen
elected
people with
office.
all that experience ruin government as well. So no, you're right. Yeah.
Hey, anything, let the people decide as much as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So what should we get started with first here, Greg? Should we go 2024 county proposed charter, or should we go estimate the financial impact?
It's up to you. We started with the charter last time, but we didn't get all the way through it. I mean, we don't have to scroll through everything, but that is the final document if you want to click 2024 proposed charter.
Let's take a look
So
at
you
it.
can see it. Yeah. Yeah. It starts with the preamble, which is sort of like a mission statement of what this
For
document
those
is.
hard of seeing, I'm just gonna hook you up a little bit here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, let me actually. There we go. All right. So just we the people preamble.
Yeah. Yeah.
Declaration of Independence.
It's we established this form of home rule.
Our good country.
You know, protect the general welfare. You know, have an efficient operating government. We had something more complex in there, but we got some feedback from the Farm Bureau. We got some feedback from our own board members that we need to simplify it a bit, make it an easier statement to understand. So we did that.
You said the farm?
Yeah, what do
Farm
they
Bureau.
care?
Well, I mean, I think we had a lot of different things in there that were very specific, and it was like, let's just simplify it and make it a very easy message to understand. And we think we did that.
Okay.
So board members felt that way too. So we didn't need to overdo it.
So this is Article 1.
All definitions.
Just definitions of different. Let's see, we got here: board of corporate and politic, exercise of powers, name and boundaries.
Yep.
Definitions. There it is.
Yeah.
in
What
the word.
what agency means, what allowances mean, what budget means. It just kind of goes through terms you'll see throughout the document. One of the most important things you'll see here. There's two really important things here. If you scroll to residency and residence.
And everybody too. If you look at my first two links that I posted, you can find this document and the financials as well on. This is all from
There
the
we go,
Charles
right
County
there,
Gov
U
page.
and V. So there's a lot of conversation of there may be commissioners in the past who have not maintained their primary residence in their district and in the county. So we define residence based on how I think it was Jones versus Anne Arundel County's charter, and I forgot the date of it, where residence means your present domicile, where you lay your head, having the meaning of primary
A
residence.
Fannie Willis reference. Where you lay your head.
So, you know, whenever you see residence or resident in the charter, because of this definition, it means you need to be a primary resident of Charles County. And that's important because for the county administrator and the county attorney right now, they don't live in Charles County. And they haven't for quite some time. They live in St. Mary's. In the past, they've lived in Baltimore. They've lived in Anne Arundel.
What do y'all think about that?
I think
think it's necessary.
I think they should have to live in the county. I mean, you're making so many
Angela, you disagree?
decisions for the county.
For the
You should
county
have to live
attorney?
there.
For the attorney and the administrator. For those two top positions.
I think it should be all department heads.
I think
didn't do
anybody
that.
who's elected should live in the district that they are running in.
And this requires that.
Yeah, but I think that if you are an employee of the county, you shouldn't be required to live in the county.
For these top 2 positions, we felt like they are so important in speaking for the county, making legal decisions for the county, representing the county, that once they're hired, they need to move into Charles County within 6 months. And we didn't think that was unreasonable, especially for the rate of pay and the responsibility. Not for directors.
What's the rate of pay?
Well, that's often decided through contract, but right now the county administrator makes $240,000.
Yeah.
200, how much?
40-some thousand,
much money.
247.
Good
And he gets a housing
Lord.
stipend too, right?
well,
So I'm not counting that. Right?
Medical.
You
I
add
think it's
those-
around
getting paid without working
275.
now.
Free meals
but-
at Galazio's.
I think so.
Right.
I think so. And that person has never had to live in Charles County. And I think people feel like you should have some skin in the game if you are the top person in county government.
Well, and also that person has been sitting at home getting paid for 3 years now, thanks to Thomasina Coates.
And I think they have another consulting job
is true.
too. So I think they're kind of we're paying for 2 administrators right now.
Yep.
Yes.
So, but yeah, so this resident piece is it's a definition. You can easily scroll past it, but it's super important throughout the document.
Didn't you feel like choosing that the county attorney and the county administrator have to live in Charles County? Do you think that limits our pool?
Not for those 2 jobs. I think if this was like director of Parks and Rec, I think if this was director of Fiscal Services, I think it would. But I think these type of jobs are coveted. There's very few of them. And I think once you take the job, there's enough compensation there to make it easy to move into the county. So we thought these 2 were important.
Okay.
So we thought it was a balance. The top 2 positions and then everything else, you can live outside the county.
Yeah.
We'll keep scrolling too. Let's see. I think I got a comment here from Derek DT, right coming back from Florida, coming in hot. He said that people had at least 1 year to submit comments and or suggestions about the charter. Regardless, nothing is being changed.
Right. That's right.
Also, he said that the county administrator had a consultant job while getting paid on leave.
Yeah, I think he does some environmental consulting work.
Is that something that you can, as far as
so that was
side
negotiated.
work?
That was negotiated in his contract with the current board, with the previous board of commissioners.
So let me let's go back and let's rewind that for a second. The county administrator who is on paid leave, did you just say that he is consulting?
Yes.
DT says, and Derek, you want to give us some more information too on this? He had a consultant job while getting paid on leave.
And
So
I believe
who was
it's,
the consulting job with?
I'm gonna let him cook and
I
put some more
think it's a
information in the
private
comments.
consulting firm that he works for, and I think one of his clients might be St. Mary's County government. I'd have to check.
How can you have a full-time job and another full-time job?
The commissioners negotiated his ability to have, with approval from the commissioners, outside employment, and that was in the previous board of commissioners, not this one. All those things happen.
I learned something new every time.
All those things happen in closed session, which is why our document says that when the executive nominates someone, it's the council that has to do the approval, and that's an open meeting. That's a conversation where that person sits at the table and talks about their qualifications. You don't
Yeah.
you didn't know any of this, right? We have to
No,
dig
I
up the
didn't know
contract.
any of this.
You said it's section 15 of the county admin contract. I'm trying to think. Derek wrote the handbook to Charles County. This man knows. Dude, this man knows
Right.
everything.
He says the
Yeah.
jury is out on whether he got permission from the commissioners.
I think the way that contract is written says that he's supposed to. I don't know if he did or not.
But can you do it in charter?
The council will have a say. So if the executive nominates someone, the council will decide in affirming that person, can you have outside employment or not? I think that's the public thing that's going to happen, right?
So does the council determine the contract, or does the county executive determine what
the
the
council will
contract
have
is?
to vote to confirm that person in their contract.
So okay, but
So
no,
the
no,
county
the question
executive
is
does the negotiations?
that's what I'm asking.
I think they do the initial negotiation, and the council has to take the vote.
But the council can't modify the terms of the
The
contract.
council
though.
can say no to the person, and the contract can be the reason why. So that's
Okay.
the give and take, right? You don't have that now. You all don't see any of this now.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that was the important part. We don't want to micromanage, in my opinion, we don't want to micromanage every single decision. We're trying to provide daylight on how the decisions are made. And then the council, like I said, the council's going to have that person in front of them. And with that information, they might say, no, this doesn't make sense. This isn't a good deal for Charles County. And say, give me a different nominee. Or give me different terms.
No, I do want to talk more about that when we get into like the appointment part, because I do have some stuff I feel
Sure.
like could have been. So yeah.
Let's keep working through this.
Yeah. So this is all just definitions. You can go to Article 2, which is the council.
Got it. On my way there, Derek said I do this for a living, get information. This man like the little finger, Charles County.
him and homeboy doing the same. They got file cabinets.
Yo, I will say this. I have hit up Derek about a few things, and he's got me the answer within like 30 minutes. I'm like, dude, I don't know how you did that, but yo, you're doing consultation. That man probably could charge good money out here for the work he's done. All right, so this is Article 2, County Council. What's the overall here before we start scrolling?
Overall, 5 council people, 4 voted in by district, 1 at large. The at large person is not automatically the council chair. Once they are elected and formed as a body, they can decide amongst themselves who's best qualified to be the chair. So that's different. Right now, at large is always the commissioner president, so we changed that. So 204 election shows that it's 4 by district, 1 at large. We scroll down some more. Let's see, qualifications.
See, y'all put an age limit of 19 on that, see?
Yeah, you and I talked about that last time.
Which is weird on that, too.
We kept that. We kind of think, this is a ground where people can gain experience. And perhaps that person over time, if they don't go for state office, then wants to be county executive, right? You kind of now have seen both sides of it. You've seen the legislative side and the executive side. If you scroll down some more.
Can we talk about this redistricting?
Sure. Redistricting is, I think, is it 215?
Yeah, but you reference it in the election.
Oh, okay. Where's it at?
The boundaries of the district shall be provided in section 215.
Mm-hmm.
You want me to scroll down to 215?
Yeah, you can scroll 215.
All right. We'll come back as necessary.
Yeah, this looks very legal.
Mm-hmm.
This looks like a lot of legalese.
Similar to what we have right now in law with redistricting. We did our most recent redistricting in 2022. And that's what the first sentence says, is it's the same lines should the charter go into effect in 2026 as they are right now. And that's something that Danielle and I worked on in particular to make sure it's very clear to residents when you read that. It's the lines as they're drawn now, but 215A says when there's a decennial census by April 1st of the following year, you have to stand up a redistricting commission. So the first redistricting would occur in 2031.
Okay,
If you
but
read 215A.
what's concerning me here is that the central committee of a political party shall nominate 3 persons
Mm-hmm.
to serve on the commission. If at the time of nomination at least 15% of the total number of registered voters in the county are affiliated with that political party. Does that mean we may just get a single party representation on that commission?
I don't think so. I mean, I think they're just looking for representation amongst is electorate the right word, amongst the population. And I think this is language we've seen across other charters. And I think we had the same language
Well,
in
what if
2014
you
as well.
have, like, in Charles County, you have more Democrats than you do Republicans?
There's at least 15% Republicans, though, aren't there?
What if it
I don't
isn't
know.
in a district?
Charles,
I don't know.
based on voting, I've seen at least 35,
Yeah.
40.
But
Well,
what,
it's not specific
This is
districts.
based on voting.
but what if you go
No.
by specific districts, and maybe it's not 15% registered Republicans in that
It's not
district?
by specific district.
Oh, it's all the at-large. It's all countywide.
It's about establishing the members of. Let me see. Let me read it. Yeah,
It's about the redistricting commission.
Yeah, as a whole, but it's not 15% by district. It's
Oh, okay.
registered voters countywide.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we would
And
get
this isn't adding, and this came up before, this isn't choosing to add more council seats. This is to make sure that each district has equal population.
So if we go to a redistricting in 2031, as you said, and let's say, for instance, we have, 15%, or 20% Republican and 15% independent, and the rest of that is registered Democrats, then we're going to get 3 people from each party on that commission, right?
I don't think independent is a party technically. So would they?
I don't know.
Independent, not no.
So they really wouldn't. Would they get a person or not really? Because you can't
Yeah.
put in. That's weird. Yeah.
So they wouldn't get that representation as
I don't
far
think
as
independents
districting.
ever get representation, unfortunately, which is
I
crazy.
don't think they do.
Yeah, independent's not a part. It's no.
Mm-mm.
Right.
It's just
Right.
You
yeah.
by yourself.
Yeah, you just
Let me-
vote
I'm
how
just
you want
reading
to.
this make
They should
sure
give the
it's-
Green
it's
Party.
countywide, yeah.
And the other parties.
Total
The
number
4
of registered
pillars.
voters
There we
is-
go.
So
right?
when so then in this conversation, then you would get 3 from Democrat and 3 from Republican on the commission. Is that correct?
Does it say what the total number is? Let me see.
I
I'm
didn't
just trying to see
it.
if there's an upper limit. 3 persons to serve as long as they have at least 15. Two.
So that just concerns me the way that's worded, and I know it's too late to change it now.
I think it's the same that we have right now under the Charles County's redistricting commission.
okay.
Under code.
But all I'm saying is that it looks like
We hear this concern from Republicans because of the Democratic versus Republican.
well, there's always
always gonna be
arguments
imbalance.
on both sides about gerrymandering with the districts.
Yeah.
And so it just doesn't seem like the wording seems a little.
It's the same wording.
It could be interpreted however somebody wanted to interpret it. So that's just my thought.
Okay.
Just looking at it. But anyway, do we want to hop back?
Yeah, let's go on hop back.
I'm trying to think of what the main things to hop back are. We were at qualifications, I think.
I think we're at 203.
Yeah, 202,
Yeah.
203. Right
No, let's
there.
go 205.
Oh, yeah, it was right there.
We were at
Qualifications.
205, yeah.
We're talking with that one.
This is a citizen, a resident.
That's pretty standard.
So resident
Yeah.
means primary resident because that's what we defined earlier.
Yep.
And that's going to be important later for forfeiture of office.
Wait, I have a question then. How do you tell if someone's a primary resident or not? Because I can, if I own a house, let's say in Prince George's, and I own a house in Charles County, I could just sign to say, oh yeah, that's my primary residence, but I rent the house out in Charles County. No one's gonna come and check to see if I rent that house out in Charles County.
That's why I think we'll have to use use procedures that State Board of Elections uses in sort of certifying that if they, I don't know if there's any investigative part after that, but our IG
Yeah,
also,
I don't think it is,
our
but-
IG can work. And that's part
Okay.
of the reason we stood the IG office up to be able to deal with any kind of ethical issues in county government, which could be if you're even qualified for office.
Internal affairs.
We don't have that now. We stood it up at a cost. Jake put a cost on it, but I think it's worth it.
How much?
I think it's roughly 600,000. It's probably a little bit more than that. It's 4 people. It's lease space. It's a car, things like that. But IGs have a return on investment
Oh yeah.
because they recover.
Why do we need lease space for the IG when we've got a whole floor?
Why can't we let them work from home?
Jake's estimate says he thinks they can't put them in, and they put lease space in. Maybe he's balancing that the executive needs that space too, so they'll be in. I don't know if they'll be in White Plains where economic development is. I don't know where it's going to go, but he assumed it's going to be leased. So that's not something I want to argue with. That was a county estimate.
Well, I think working from home for IG's office is a little tricky because you probably got some sensitive
Social security
information.
numbers.
Yeah.
Or maybe
No,
them
yeah, but it's
even
people who
being
do.
in
I
the
mean,
county.
didn't you have a account, a
investigations and
clerk
things
of the
like
court?
that.
Did we?
That-
Wasn't ideal.
I don't know if it's an advantage for them to be away from the county building.
Yeah,
maybe
so-
It might be.
Relationship-wise, they don't get sort of too embedded.
That's a good idea.
And then you have those like what is it? Those secure networks that people get on and all that for
Yeah.
people who work for the government.
And we'll get to IG, I think, in
Yeah.
Article 3.
Yeah, I got some questions about that one. That's
sure.
interesting
Okay.
points.
But if we scroll down some more,
Real quick, just want to get a comment.
oh yeah,
Leah?
Leah,
Leah?
you know who Dougie P is, right?
I got to talk to Leah. Your name came up to me in my travels, and I just want to have a conversation. Want to throw it out there.
She's cool people.
Yeah. No, I said yeah, I said it like real sarcastic, but nah. And it came up like
He's
so.
like, so what's really going on?
Nah, ain't no beef. I just like it was like a late comment. It's like 10:30, and I'm like, it wasn't from.
I had to put my
wasn't from Leah,
glasses
but
on to read this stuff. Oh,
we'll reach out. I'll reach out to you after this. Pascal, what's going on with you? And
What's up, Pascal?
Derek, Belton Consulting link. You can
I
see it
see
for
that.
yourself. Yeah. So
Uh-oh.
y'all could dive into that before we go from there. All right, where do we want to move on next? Just keep scrolling down.
Yeah,
Term of office. I know we talked on that last time
yeah.
too.
So that's the 4-year term. It's still a 4-year term.
yeah.
You can't serve more than 2 consecutive terms, and that's
Term
how-
limits.
Term limits. And I've heard that's not a term limit, but every single charter county that has a term limit is structured this way. Some of them are 3. So this is consistent with terms in all the other charters that have terms.
I understand
And-
that.
and
I
you-
still wouldn't call it
That's fine.
a term limit because it's not really a hard limit. It's more like a term pause. Like you have to have that pause
Because they can run again.
Yeah.
After 4 years.
Yeah. Do those
They
2
can
years.
serve multiple terms, provided that a maximum of 2 4-year terms may be served consecutively.
Yeah.
And there's
So
evidence sometimes that they don't, right?
you're right.
Jan Gardner, the Frederick executive, her limit was 2 consecutive terms, and she never came back, and she was wildly popular in Frederick.
No, you're right.
But sitting out 4 years is not a
Landscape
little bit
changes.
of time, yeah.
I mean, some people may sit out. Some people may say, you know what? Let me use them 4 years, raise me some more money.
These people don't raise that much money.
I mean, hey, we go to charter. More people can make bigger decisions out here. We may have more money
Hey,
flooding
you
in.
could buy a commission for $5,000.
Look.
You've already seen that.
Right?
Yes, we sure have.
See, now that's more than a ham sandwich. It's a few ham sandwiches.
Hey, you even take your pictures in front of a 7-Eleven. Let's keep scrolling.
We're bringing big things to the county.
The attendance guideline and the town hall requirement are here. So they don't exist right now. There's no such thing as an attendance record unless you go through every single minute of a Charles County Commissioner meeting. So we require that, one, there's an attendance record, and you're going to see that in a later section that's published twice a year. But we have a guideline that they can't miss more than 15% of the council meetings when they set their calendar at the beginning of the year. And if they do, it triggers a public hearing.
Just to hear like where you been at or
Get an
like,
update.
well, you have to explain yourself. The public gets to comment, and the commissioners could then vote to exercise the removal procedure if they think it's warranted. Because we don't say sick or not. We don't say family issues or not. We don't say unexcused or not. We just say you can't miss more than 15%.
what counts as an excused absence?
They have to come to the public hearing and explain what it is.
Mm.
This is a pretty hard requirement that you can't miss more than 15 without having to give the public an explanation. And if you don't, you run the risk that they might trigger the remoal.
And that was contentious with you all's meeting because I watched that
Yes.
one, and it was, for some reason, some people were saying, I don't feel like the elected officials should have to explain themselves to
We
the
rejected
public
that.
about why, which to me makes no sense because
You work for the public.
You serve
thank
the public.
you, thank
Yeah.
you. I know in my job, if I just miss 15%, they're gonna ask me why and create a work plan to get back on track.
So this is the
Work
most
plan will be for
Well,
unemployment.
like we
Right.
found out that,
Here's your pink
that the
slip.
reason Thomasina at her, I'm going to talk about Thomasina because
Hey,
I'm in District 2.
the floor is I'm right. We right here. We right here in
at,
District 2.
at the
That's your
town
friend.
hall that she held, that nobody was
yeah.
allowed to talk. She said that she apologized for not having been present in District 2 because she had to take a leave of absence. That's the first I had heard about her taking a leave of absence for a family issue. So under this, it sounds like she would be accountable to the people. I mean, you don't have to give all the gory details of why you're taking it, but we needed to know that our representative had taken a leave of absence and wasn't representing us.
Yeah.
So no charter has anything like this in the state. This is the most forward, people-centered charter that gives
That's what
information
Derek just
in the
said
state.
too. Everything's
Shout out
part
to the,
time.
We've
shout
looked
out
at
to
all
the
the
people
charters.
pushing for
Yeah.
that.
Nobody
That's great.
has anything like this, and we said this is a unique chance to do some different things.
So does the pay reflect that being full time?
Well,
no,
they're not full time.
No, they're not. They're not full time initially.
But they're not part time.
No charter says full or part. And what's going to happen is over time, the Compensation Review Commission is going to look at the duties, the requirements, is going to look at other jurisdictions, and that pay will grow, and it's going to ultimately grow into full time if the county grows big enough to warrant it.
Will but
So
I
are
don't know if
Montgomery
it will.
County Council members full
Their
time?
charter does not say full or part.
But I mean, with their pay and
It's
how it's structured,
effectively-
they're full time. Just like Prince George's County, they're basically
But their charter,
full-time as well.
but Prince George's does not say no charter.
No,
says
yeah, you're
full or
right.
part.
You're right. It doesn't say it, but it's kind of like it's one of the
But
things
you
that go
grow
without
into
saying.
it.
Yeah.
And that's what
So
we wanna anticipate.
the budget for the council members is based on a part-time role right now.
I think you can read it that way. The charter doesn't say it. That's our assumption.
And what's the salary?
60. It's in here, right there. 65.
That was a
In
great little
January
transition.
2026. Number is 207.
And they can have a second. They can have another job then.
Only the council, the executive, cannot.
That's great. I
Only
think
the council.
I think if it ever transitions to making the council full time, I think it should also be added in there that they can't have another job as well.
If you all want to do that as a charter amendment, you could.
No, yeah, I think
We
it
have
should
to
be
do it as a
added.
charter amendment. However, where I'm going with this is that right now we're hearing $65,000 a year, and maybe 2 or 3, 4 or 5 years down the road or longer, somebody's going to say, "Oh, this is a full-time job, and we're going to double our salary," or 2.5
That's a hard vote to
times,
take.
and
That
it's
doesn't happen.
full-time.
There's a hard vote.
You
So-
can't point to that.
So it's going to end up costing us more
You
money.
can't. You cannot point to that. You can look across the state and you will not find it. It's
I
a
understand
hard vote
that,
to take.
but
And it's only every 4 years.
It's-
And when you vote for it, this is spelled out. If
It's
you
not
scroll to
you.
207.
Yeah.
207. Yeah, I'll scroll.
Well,
I'll
hold
scroll
on,
right
I'm
down.
gonna say-
but
so
it's not
folks-
out of. It's not out. It's not impossible.
There's a lot of things, right?
It
So
could happen.
if you take the vote, that first of all, you have to establish a compensation review commission every 4 years. That's 207B. And when you make that recommendation, the council has to vote on it. They can't increase. They can go below. There's evidence across the state. Usually they do go below because it's a politically hard vote. And the pay increase doesn't happen to the current council. It goes in effect for the next council. So you wouldn't be voting for a pay increase for yourself. It'd be for the next council. So we built some protections in there.
Okay.
Right.
Before we scroll down some more, can we go back up? Because there is one other great thing that I do want to give y'all credit for about the town hall requirements as well.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah,
Scroll
if you
You want me to scroll down to where? Sorry, I was
no,
reading.
no,
I was
scroll
reading
up,
comments.
E.
scroll up a little bit.
It's E, terms of
So,
office
there we go, right there.
206.
Yeah. About having at least one town hall within their respective district each quarter, and the at-large member having one in each of the districts. I think that's a really great thing now, because as we see now, until recently, we really haven't seen any of them in publicly too much. So that is a way to at least get them out in front of the people, have to answer questions, have to actually participate in the public. And I think it also works in the reverse as well, because you hear a lot of people say, we're tired of seeing the same people come out to government meetings every single time. But it's hard to make new people come out if they feel like, why would I come out if you're not listening to the people who are there already? So it brings more people in, and it makes more people feel like, oh, I can actually go and talk to my government representative. So hopefully it builds a more active.
It sounds good in theory, but
Well, yeah, how
we do
they-
know that a commissioner can call it a town hall and then tell everybody who attends they're not allowed to talk.
We got
Well-
3 questions already submitted.
But
I
there-
got them on a slide, and then we'll be done in
Yep.
15 minutes.
And if you speak up, we're going
On
to
the
call the
slide.
police.
Can you point to
Oh,
me?
Lord.
Can either of you point to me in Charles County Code where there's any requirement for them to do anything?
No, I'm not
So
dinging
this-
you
so,
for this. I'm
yeah.
glad it happened.
Well, no, this is good.
So
Yeah.
I'll say this. There's three things that I, as one board member, and I think the entire board, were trying to achieve with the charter as a whole.
I don't think this is a
more,
bad
no,
thing.
No. I know more
Yeah.
transparency. More transparency in government. We're going to talk about in the budget slide on that. More accountability, and we're talking about the removals. We're talking about the public hearings, and more public engagement. Those are the 3 things this document is about, and those are the things that as much as people in these meetings I go to vent at me and other board members, and we've been punching bags, as much as they complained about the names y'all just mentioned, and I would go back further than that. All the things they're asking for, we actually wrote into the document.
Don't say, y'all ain't mentioned no names yet.
All the things that people have been complaining about, we tried to actually put into the document, because there's no name in the charter. It's about who that next person is.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, this is a
Understood.
plus. This is good.
No, this is a great thing that y'all added. And the crazy thing
Yeah.
is, this
Sure,
is
already been had something
this
like this.
came up during the legislative proposals part, and this is why I think the main thing for me with the charter thing is too letting people know it's not just about whether we get the charter or not. It's also who we put in office, because a lot of the stuff from the charter was put up during the legislative proposals, and it was like all of them were like, no, we don't want this. No, we don't want this. No, we don't want this.
That was disingenuous on the commissioner's part. And I'll tell you this. This is a government that outsources everything. This is a government that outsources. Commissioners outsource legislative proposals to the public. And that's not a bad thing, but when do they actually introduce bills, right? You had a commissioner try to take credit for your term limit bill. That commissioner could have entered a term limit bill any of the
that true?
last 2 terms.
From what I've heard, it is true.
It is
From what
true.
I've heard, yeah. I mean,
It is
yeah.
true.
From what
Which
Greg said.
commissioner?
Commissioner Boland. He tried to say, well, we had a term limit bill. Commissioner Boland said to me, I think it was in that Friends of Charles County group. I'm not in there anymore. He said to me, I
posted the podcast in there today.
I don't agree with term limits. People just can vote me out if I want to do a 3rd term, because he does want to do a 3rd term. So where was the term limit bill that had his name on it? Why did he have to use you as a prop, right, to say, here's a term limit bill that the community wants? No, you introduce it as a commissioner. So again, they outsource it to the public, and then they try to say, well, we can do it. You haven't done it. There's no evidence that you all have done any of the things that we wrote into the charter.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the big problem with the people who are there, is that it seems that like me, I'm all cool with them looking to the public, say, hey, give me suggestions, give me bills and stuff like that. Is you have to act on it. You can't just say, oh, we want them, and then you look at everyone and say, well, thank you so much for doing this. Go ahead and put it right in the recycle as you walk out and have a nice day.
But my point is that this hasn't been an issue that just came up.
No,
Term limits
you're
are
right.
something that no code county has, including Charles.
No, you're
and
right.
any of these cats could have did this for, we have one commissioner that's 4 terms. We have Amanda's 3 terms. Boland's on a 2nd term. Where has their bill been all these
Nowhere.
years? Exactly.
Yep, you're
So
right.
so they're using charter as, no, we can do it. Charter wrote it. We can do it.
But then they don't do it.
Too little,
Exactly.
too late.
Let me read a few comments while we keep this moving. Jamie Larson, not all commissioners, just the ones pushing for charter.
Is she talking about the ones that voted against the town halls? Because that's what happened.
That's what I believe. But
The
just
way
clear
the-
it up for us, Jamie, just to make sure.
I
we
can
got
clear
you
up the
correctly.
town hall vote, how it went for the legislative proposals hearing for the town halls. It was, I think, Gilbert and Amanda put the motion up and seconded it. You had, I think, those 2 voted for it. Ralph abstained. And then I believe it was Thomasina and Ruben voting against it. So
So
it
they
fails.
didn't have a quorum, so it just
Yep,
fell
so it
flat.
fails. Yeah.
And I think the disingenuous part of it was they knew, all the commissioners knew it wasn't going to go anywhere. It was all a stunt to kind of say this
But why?
federal government can do it.
I
Because
can't say that.
again, they could have done this at any point. Even this board of commissioners, before you got to spring legislative proposals, they could have entered the term limit bill. We've been talking about it
So they could
for
have.
months, and they haven't.
Which is the crazy thing is, if you talk with all of them, they'll all probably tell you privately, "Oh, we agree with it. We agree with it. We agree with it." And it's like, okay, but when the bill's up, you don't do it.
Politicians don't believe in
and this
government.
is why, for me personally, I'm like, I've understand how people have said, like, okay, you have certain elected officials who will just like tell you things to pander to you. I say, cool, that's fine. I understand that, but then at the same time, at least you're putting up a motion in voting for it. The other ones don't even vote for it. I can't give you any credit for not voting for it and not putting it up.
I can't.
How you give them credit for not putting it up?
No,
though?
I mean, I don't give him credit.
Oh,
for
okay,
putting it up
okay.
either.
Let me get back to some more comments, and then we'll keep moving from there.
It's a potato
Let's
man.
see, Leia. I think we talking about BJ taking credit for someone else's work. I'll leave that out there. I'm obviously, Greg brought up a case. We got actually, this is a comment I want to read out there from BJ, just about charter.
Yeah.
And then we'll get to that. Just remind me of that.
Okay.
We'll come back to it when it kind of makes sense. Derek said something here. The main difference of what is now in the charter can be changed by a new administration, like can do now or at any time. Under home rule, they can just change on the fly.
And like that's the public comment thing that we talked about, I think, before we came on camera, right? They initially had public comments at every commissioner meeting 4 times a month, and then they took it back and went to 2. Our charter and the legislative process article requires it, and they can't change it. They can't take it away because it's in here. Only we can take it away as residents, right? That's why it's called a constitution.
Mm-hmm.
We wrote it as residents. You voted on it as residents, and you can only take it away. They've already given and taken. And if there's a new board, they may not like what this board set up and say there's no more public comments. They have that right under Code Home Rule. We're saying we're writing the rules now, and it'll be locked in. So I think that's what Derek's trying to say.
Angela, any thoughts on that?
Sounds good to Carlos.
Let's keep scrolling down. Compensation, we already talked about that one. Forfeiture of office.
Yep.
Any thoughts here for anyone?
Yeah, let's go. Let's go through this one. I like that it went back to. I guess that's vacancies. It went back to having a special election for it and not being the central committees get to.
Oh yeah,
replace-
for vacancy. Yeah. We took that
Yeah.
feedback. You were
Yeah.
right about that. You and Angela, I think, felt strongly
Yeah.
about that.
Yep.
Yep. So we listen. I mean, we feel strongly about having an executive, and we went through 2 months of meetings. We all talked to people. We listened to experts, and after 2 months of meetings, we voted to put an executive in. But throughout this process, we've made changes. And at this meeting that we did here in April, y'all flagged that the special election was not in the vacancy section, and we changed it. And I think that's that. If you keep scrolling, I think you'll see the vacancy piece, Ricky. That's
It's
the removal.
210.
210. It requires a
Yeah,
special
I
election.
see the removal from office.
Thoughts on that?
The removal from office.
Mm-hmm.
If the party that was removed appeals it to the circuit court, who pays for that? Right now, the county pays for that because they are a commissioner.
I'm assuming if they're a council person that the county would pay because it's a council person.
Ooh,
I don't know if
like
that
that one.
changes. I don't think that changes.
Okay.
So I got
Well,
one.
hopefully that doesn't cost us another $2 million.
And counting.
And counting.
And county. I got
Y'all
one.
paid for the charter. Wow.
Right. Right. We paid for it
1.6.
twice. So one thing though is that in the second paragraph with the vacancies is that it says if it occurs in the last year, the council just appoints someone of their choosing to serve, which I find weird too, because when we look at on the last year of the term, okay, never mind. Because I would say when you look at what's happening in Prince George's County now with the appointment of Mel Franklin, even though it's an election year, they're still doing a special
doing a
election.
special
For,
election?
yeah, they're doing a special election for
So
his
their charter
seat.
must be written a little different.
Yeah, and then well, it also if someone leaves, and then it's going to be crazy. But yeah,
Yeah.
Officers, it's pretty.
Yeah, that's talking about the
self-explanatory.
chair. So
Yeah.
that one says it's
I like
not
that.
automatically the at-large person. They have to, and that gives say like Cobb Island a chance to lead the council,
Yeah.
or Bryan's Road a chance to lead the council. People think that it's always going to be Waldorf that wins an at-large commissioner president, but that's people upset about the current cast because who was the previous commissioner president before Rubin?
yeah, Peter Murphy.
Murphy.
Yeah.
Where's Murphy from? Peter
Yeah,
Murphy's from
like,
Bryan's Road.
yeah.
right?
Bryan's Road, yeah.
It was never the case that at large always won, but people are always like, "Oh no, Waldorf's going to be." No,
Yeah, that Nan Jamoy, it's time. It's your time now.
There we
they have
go.
a
Hey.
chance here. They have a
Yes.
Come on now.
That's what they need.
oversight responsibilities of the council, so the council can investigate county agencies. They can have oversight hearings. Hey, come explain how this program's working or not working, or you're not following through on what we intended. It's just all about transparency.
Well, what can prompt that? Could that be the public raising a concern, and if the council, or would that go through the IG's office?
I think the public can raise it to their council people. And I think it takes a simple majority also to issue a subpoena if you need to compel someone to come forward. So let's take the whole sheriff's office curfew thing. So policing's not the long-term solution to deal with things to keep our youth occupied and healthy and
Exactly.
growing, right? Policing is not the answer to that. So how about our commissioners have exploratory hearings and bring in experts and kind of dig into this issue to set the groundwork for programs later? That's what this whole, if you scroll up to 212 is about.
Okay.
I like
This
that.
is the
Greg.
council kind of getting into the meat of doing their job, right? It's not, they're not supposed to be micromanaging government as commissioners. They should actually be doing the work, and then that leads to legislation. That's what this is all about.
I like that.
Let's keep scrolling.
Yeah, we're almost done with this one.
2015, we talked on 2014.
If they need to hire some outside experts to help them with anything. If they think
Outsourcing?
that- yeah.
So this is like illegal?
outsourcing. Yeah, yeah. Well, not just legal, but budget. If there's some reason that they need some staffing help or some consultant work, that's what that's about. That's about their own internal staffing, right? If they need to hire staff, that's what that is.
And that staff, does it have to be Charles County, or can it be from?
No, it's be Charles County staff, but they probably can get some consulting work here too. But these would be county employees right here.
Belton Consulting.
And the fiscal note based on that section, Jake assumes the council will hire 3 people, and it's in the fiscal note, and he cites section 240.
So they're going to hire 3 people for council assistants already?
Yes,
Okay. They know that.
that's what Jake assumes.
What about the people that support the commissioners right now? How many is that?
I think they each have their own commissioner specialists. But
Also, this would take that away. And then
no, he just thinks they need 3 more people.
Oh, okay, 3 more.
So
added.
they need
okay,
3
that
more on
makes
top
sense.
of that.
Yeah, he thinks they need, and I agree with him. Him and
I
I
agree with
talked
that
about this. If the council's going to have budget power, they need a budget person, right?
Mhm.
So you think of Jake Dyer as the new director of budget for the executive. The council needs someone who can evaluate the executive's budget, so he builds that in.
And that's a full-time job.
I would think so. I would think so. But we'd have to pull his estimate up to see if it's one FTE.
Yeah, and we
or
don't have a
part.
line by line.
He's got a table. He's got a table that lists the FTEs though.
Where's that table at? Is that the document that?
Yeah, it's the other document. that you
Okay.
have up.
We will pull that up before we get out of here too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, redistricting. We touched
You
on.
looked at that?
Yeah.
IG,
Ooh,
new office.
I love this part.
All right. Overall, go thoughts on Article 3 from yourself.
It's a watchdog. It's someone who's not just a financial auditor, but they're here to make sure programs are running effectively, efficiently, and that there's no waste, fraud, and abuse in county government. They're someone who's appointed based on their qualifications of the council, and they can investigate based on citizen complaint or their own tips or information county activities.
So waste, fraud, and abuse. Obviously, we're familiar with Collins, Ocean City, government credit card, whatever that means.
Mm-hmm.
How would the IG play a role in that situation?
That you wouldn't take the IG based on subpoenaing the records if they aren't just outright given to them. Would do the investigation, issue the report to the public and the county attorney, and turn it over to any other authorities as needed. I think in this case, it's turning it to the county attorney, saying this is owed to county government, and then the county can act on it.
One question I have, and I hope an inspector general, if we get charter, would resolve this. But right now, we have no way of knowing for certain whether somebody has paid the county back or not.
Mm-hmm.
So I did do a FOIA request, and I know they call it PIA, I think, here, for the details of the 9 misuses of the county credit card in the most recent audit.
Okay.
So I had just received that before my life went to hell in a handbasket, and I haven't been able to follow up on that yet. But out of those, there was one event that I remember that Amanda contributed to, and it was held outside of the county, so that was against the rules. And she paid
Bowling
that.
admitted to something.
She
with a
paid
credit
that back.
card, too.
Bowling
Yeah.
did something.
Yeah.
It was an accident. It was an accidental charge against the county credit card for room service or something like that.
Doesn't sound that different. but
Yeah, and he paid that back.
Yeah.
But then we
Room
had
service where?
The ham
At
sandwich.
a hotel somewhere. But so it's the dollar amounts that are different. I heard him in a town hall describing. He was like, "Oh, it was only $30-some," but it was the same issue generally.
Yeah.
It's using the county credit card for things that you weren't.
Well,
supposed
it
to
was
use
when
it
he
for.
booked a room for at a hotel, and I've had this happen before traveling for business. A lot of people probably have. They're holding the corporate credit card. Your hotel is holding the corporate credit card for security. You know, they hold that number.
They just charged everything
And if you
to that.
charge, they end up. If you get room service, or you get something that is outside of your
Charge it to the room.
policy, they charge it to the room, and then you have to reimburse it. I've done that many times.
Yeah, it makes sense.
think audit
Yeah,
commissions
I don't
for
think
that
that it
issue.
was something that was willful. But then we have the situation with our commissioner president, who continues to misuse the credit card over and over and over again. And what I did notice in the report that I looked at was that there were detailed notes for bowling that I think that is actually a photocopy of the check that he paid them back with. I think there was a photocopy of his check, and I think there were detailed notes from Amanda, what check number and the amount. Nothing for Ruben. Just saying, there were a couple notes on a couple of them that said that it was repaid, no date, no amount, no nothing like that. So the level of detail for Ruben's infractions was, as far as repayment, was lacking severely. And it's a little frustrating, to see that, since it's become it's a repeat offense year after year. So I mean that's an established habit.
So
with
the
him.
thing about the county auditor, and he's a really good guy.
Yeah,
I
so
had a great
hopefully
conversation with him. The county auditor. This is I don't want to say incestuous, but this is a kind of an incestuous government where everything is
Got enough of that in the
within,
county.
everything is within the same structure, right? And the auditor reports to the administrator, and she has a small panel that reviews the auditor. This inspector general sits outside the executive. This
Okay.
inspector general is independent from the council, despite the council appointing the person on a staggered term. And they use their judgment to initiate investigations, to decide what their work plan is. They complete the reports, and they have subpoena power. And non-compliance, if you scroll to the very end of this, we require the council to
All the way to
set
the
up-
end?
Yeah, we require the council to do its legislative job and to create fines and infractions for noncompliance with the IG.
Compliance. Here we go.
So
312A.
Yeah, so this would be hopefully one of the first tasks of the council is that they need to establish public law for civil infractions for not complying with the IG. Montgomery County had to do the same thing.
Okay.
So this is going to create some of that teeth that we want to comply with the investigative.
Yeah, because
actions.
right now we all know this is happening, but it continues to happen and nothing gets done about it. It seems a little flagrant, so hopefully we could reel that in if this were put in place.
And you said the IG would not be working in the same building as
The way the cost estimate is now, it says it's leased space, so I think it would be outside the building. That's the way what the county assumes.
Makes sense.
That could make sense for its independence. I don't know. That would be a 2026 decision. But if you go to the cost estimate, that's what Jake describes.
we want to hit that cost estimate before we get out of here.
Yeah.
Let's see. Is it anywhere? I know we kind of talked about this like on and off. Is there anything in terms? So what is this right here?
Is this for the
2 full
This is
4?
for
Just
the
like
IG.
everyone else.
Inspector General.
Yeah.
Oh,
Still,
okay.
still IG.
Appointed by the council, not by the executive. There's an IG in the state. I think it's Baltimore County. That's appointed by the county executive. We didn't think that made sense.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's
'cause that's
that's a
not
huge
anything.
conflict of interest.
Yeah.
I got my guy on the inside.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
so we use Montgomery's model.
He says Baltimore.
Baltimore County. Baltimore County.
But it's
Montgomery,
Baltimore.
Montgomery County
Right.
is, it's funny. So Montgomery County is appointed by the council, and we had her at the end of November come interview with us. She said since that meeting, other counties have approached her for how to stand up IGs in their counties as well.
Yeah, makes sense.
So this is catching on in other places. We build it into the charter, so politicians can't take it away. When Montgomery County stood theirs up, they didn't do it in the charter, and when they stood it up, a council tried to eliminate the IG. And fortunately, they were able to protect it, and it wasn't successful. That can't happen here. It's in the charter. Only we as residents could take the IG away if we wanted to,
Under an amendment.
in an amendment.
Is there a way to remove the inspector general themselves if they're not doing what they should be doing, or it seems like
Yes.
they're trying to provide preferential treatment to
If-
one
Yeah.
elected official or the
I
other,
think if
stuff
we
like
scroll down, there's a super majority of the council
that? Okay, cool.
to remove.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, so it has that oversight as
Everybody can be removed.
Yeah, super majority
vote.
means one more.
Does
than the
that also
majority.
for other appointments too?
So it doesn't mean a quorum, it means one more.
Yeah.
For other,
This should be hard. We don't
Yeah.
want willy-nilly
Oh yeah.
just 3 getting rid of an IG.
Okay.
It should be 4.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
how much you paying for IG? You said 600,000 for the office.
That's for everything. If you go to the estimate, I think it's 150,000 position. Maybe it's a little less, maybe a little more. I'm off the top of my head. I don't know if you want to toggle over to it, but Jake has that detail.
We'll
on
toggle
there.
at the end. We'll just kind of go. Yeah.
Yeah.
go
Yeah,
through
he
that.
has a range 559 through 653.9.
All in for everything for the
Mhm.
office, right?
Oh, okay.
But I think he has an individual dollar amount for the IG herself.
Keep scrolling down. Work plan.
So that's at the beginning of the year. The IGs, list which departments it's going to do rotating audits on, investigations on. But at any point, if they get something from the public that they need to act on, they can conduct an investigation. They're not stuck with the work plan, but they need to publish sort of what their annual review is.
Gotcha.
IG director range salary is 121 through 197.
So they'll consider that a county director. Then that's why I gave it a range.
And they don't have to live in the county, do they?
No,
Okay, cool.
we want to get the best person we can, and we're in a place that's
No, yeah,
rich.
that makes sense. Yeah.
We're in a place that's rich with IGs, all the federal IGs.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
A retired federal IG, super experienced, and that's something Montgomery told us. They said they had big pools of candidates for this job,
Oh yeah.
so we don't want to limit this to living in Charles County.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Mhm.
Yeah, actually, it's probably best the IGs as far
Yeah,
away as
not
here
live
as possible.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So.
Yep.
I need what you eating here.
IG can get any document that it needs from the county, from witnesses. I think there's some whistleblower protections here that are mentioned.
I love it.
If you scroll down some more, that's the compliance piece. So again, we need our county council to start passing some law, and one of the things we say is establish fines for not complying with the IG.
Article 4.
legislative
Ooh,
process.
Yay.
All right, what's the overall?
Overall is every meeting, whether it's passing a bill, now county councils will have to actually pass bills versus meddling in day-to-day government.
Hooray.
Every meeting's going to have public engagement. And if you scroll down a little bit to legislative procedure, I think it's like 404. And let's scroll down some more to the end of 404. I think it's G. Every single legislative meeting where they're actually passing law, the public gets to speak, and following the public comments, the council members can engage with the public and actually give some response. That's required. They can't take that away. Later on in this, there's non-legislative meetings. That's the fact finding. Those are the hearings. That's, trying to hear from experts. Every non-legislative meeting, we require public comment. So
good.
every time the council meets, the public's a part of it, right? So again, this charter is about transparency, it's about accountability, and it's about public engagement. And we build that in, they can't take it away.
I like that.
Any thoughts from anyone else?
I like that part. I know it's something in the legislative process part that says if a bill comes up or someone introduces a bill and you can have a supermajority, I guess the remaining 4 vote to where that bill doesn't even get a hearing at all. What was the idea behind that? Because I do think you could wind up in a situation where you have, let's say it's a bill that regulates developers or something. You could have 4 that are like in the pocket of the developers, like your bill will never come up. So it kind of blocks it that way. Shouldn't it be, or do you feel like it should be more how Annapolis is now, that every bill that is presented gets a hearing? At least you get a hearing. Now, it may not move forward.
I just, as one person, I think we're worried about frivolous legislation that's really a press release. And I see that all the time where I am, right? People drop bills and it's really meaningless and just so they can get a press release out of it. I think it's trying to kill that type of posturing. But I can see you saying that it could have an effect. But if we scroll down a little bit, we still do have the spring legislative session from the public. So we'll still get that as a second bite of the apple, and we require that. And if your proposals move through the process, you also get the support of the county attorney and county departments to help craft that legislation too. So
Cool.
I think that might be that might be a little bit of a protection to that, a little bit. But I see where you're going with it. The executive can veto legislation.
Makes sense.
We don't have that now, right? So once the commissioners act and it's 3-2, it's done. 1, it's done. So the public has no other kind of recourse, right? So that's we talk checks and balances. This is a real check and balance in the system because you can override the veto as well. This form of government literally does not have that. Once it's 3-2, 4-1, 5-0, we are done.
Yep.
Right. So if the council was acting rash, there's no executive say, hey, pump your brakes. We need to think a little bit about this. I'm vetoing that. Let's take it back to the table. This is a check in the system. But the council can override it with a supermajority. And that forces the two to work together because no one wants to get vetoed. You don't even see vetoes at the presidential and Congress level that much because it forces
They'll
people
veto
to
what
work
DC
together.
does, but
Yeah. There's a lot of history there on that.
yeah.
So this is a real check in the system.
I like that.
Failure of bills,
Yeah, just saying how long it can sort of sit out there.
90 days,
Yeah.
calendar days.
And we do calendar days throughout. Enactment.
So these are not business days; these are calendar days.
Yeah, we went back and forth with that with legal. We made everything calendar days,
Okay.
just to be consistent. It was basically pick one or the other.
But it can be extended twice. I see.
Yeah. Enactment of legislation, affirmative vote of the council majority. I think we have something here about making sure we make all the bills publicly available
Yeah, within
a decent
72
time
hours.
frame. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. So this is a process section. This isn't one of the sexiest sections, but it's important. This is how the public participates.
Center blocks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Non-legislative sessions.
Yeah. So we talked about that. Public participation is required.
Right.
We list some of the things that it could be: the fact finding, the inquiries. You can do amendments and talk about legislation. You just can't pass a bill in a non-legislative session.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of controversy about that. The Constitution says you can only meet up to 45 days on legislation, and people looked at that and said, "Wait a minute, the council can only meet 45 days." No, they can have an unlimited number of other meetings. It's only for legislation that's up to 45 days.
I like the referendum part. I feel like that's going to be how a lot of stuff that's people based is going to get passed probably, depending on who the council members are, obviously. But when you get people to say, hey, like we've seen with the legislative proposals, almost everyone gets knocked down and no one ever gets anything passed. So this is for the public to actually say, hey, we like this, so we're going to push it through ourselves.
And we have a petition process right now.
Only to remove legislation, not to put it up.
So this is based on action taken or not taken by the council.
You said what?
This is based on legislation that was either enacted
in the mic.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
This is based on legislation that was enacted or that failed at the council level.
Oh, so you all don't have it? Because I remember previously you had something where the vote, like people, we can petition.
You do, but that's to amend the charter, and you can put legislation in the charter.
But it's not one. I remember it was something previously in one of the previous drafts you all had where residents can all come together and fill out a petition to say like a specific law that they want passed, and they can put it on the ballot.
That's the charter petition.
But it wasn't always stuff that related to the charter. It was like if they want a local law to be passed.
Well, you can put that in. You can put some of those things.
That's not currently in the charter, though?
To a restrict. Yeah. You can amend your charter through a ballot initiative.
No. I'm saying, is it currently in the charter where you can petition to get a local law passed by a ballot initiative?
Under referendum.
Yes.
Okay. Great. Okay. That's what I was just checking.
So this is.
That's what I was checking.
Yeah,
It's specific laws. It's not just any law.
No. Yeah. No. It should be. Yeah.
Well, it has exceptions. It's everything except for these.
Yeah. The tax. Council district. Yeah.
Well, this is council action again. So if the council has to pass a tax increase because we have some type of emergency, or they need to do a transfer of appropriations because there's some kind of budget need in the current year, you don't want all of that going to referendum, and then you might have a lapse.
Okay, so I think Angela, it may be different than what we're both saying. I think
this is based on council.
Greg is saying this is only to remove something that the council has done. This isn't for the people to say, hey, I want a bill like me. Let's do a bill on mandating air conditioning. From the charter, the way it is now, people could not petition to get that done. We couldn't petition to get it on the ballot at all. Is that what you're saying?
I think some of that you might actually still be able to do it under the charter petition process.
Okay, it would have to be a charter petition, and then it gets added into the charter.
Yep. And the beauty of that is, and that's a later section
then it can't be
here,
taken out for that.
and it goes directly to the ballot. There's no charter board.
Yeah.
Council people don't change anything.
That's
state law. I believe what you're talking about is state law, and there's a percentage of the
20%.
registered voters.
20%.
20%, and there are specific rules about how that information is gathered. When you say you get 20%, they have to be wet signatures.
Yeah, no, on the piece of paper.
You have to go out and actually get these people, get their information.
Yeah. No, it's going to be a hard task.
It is a hard task,
But you can't do that in code. And there's been some controversy about this, and I've heard a commissioner say, well, you could do the same thing in code. No, you can't. So the charter referendum.
Who will put it up?
The charter
you could, but if you can't get them to put it up, then.
Exactly.
If you get them to do it. The charter referendum is citizen driven.
I mean, that was one of the legislative proposals that got put up.
I think you can do it under the state of Maryland law right now, under code, but because it's state of Maryland law, so it overrides the code.
I'd have to look at that.
The home rule, but I'm telling you, this is the roadblocks for the common person. That if Carlos and I sit here and go, hell yeah, everybody needs air conditioning.
Oh, look at us.
Okay, you say it because it's 100 today.
Let's go get our 20%. But and then you start saying, oh well, this is how we got to get this 20%. This is too hard for us to do.
It's 20% or 10,000, I think.
We're not going to be able to do it.
We're
not going to be able to walk all the neighborhoods in the whole county, you and I together, and get all that information.
So Montgomery County just tried this, and I don't know if the clock has ran out. So their county executive, I think, can serve 3 consecutive terms. Right.
That's weird.
Most charter counties is 2 consecutive terms. Theirs is 3. They went to try to get those signatures to change it to
it's
2,
tough.
And they fell short.
Yeah.
But
so you can still do all the work and not get all the signatures.
But that's entire.
But one thing it does do.
Work. Good
One thing
Lord,
it does do is it shows, depending on how many, that there is a base of people who want it. So then it puts pressure on the council to say, are you going to do something? And hopefully people can turn that into a election thing to say, hey, they're not doing what they should be doing. They're not listening to the people.
Yeah, you could use it even if you did the work and you didn't get enough signatures. You could use it to leverage it for the future election.
Which is what I was thinking when I was doing the whole push for not just me, but me and people were doing the push for like the removal recommendation. It's more of a, hey, put it on them to make them do something.
Yep.
That worked really well, didn't it?
Right.
So can I use that? Can I use
Shout
that
out to
Montgomery-
all the commissioners.
I
out there.
agree with you on that.
Which one, Brett?
Can I use that Montgomery County example for executive to scroll to Article 5 then, county executive?
Attendance
I'm
public
sorry.
hearing.
I'm sorry. Let's do. You're right. So here's the attendance record. So right now there is none. So if you fail,
You can just miss as many you want to. Do whatever you want to.
there's nothing in the code.
Be out of country. If you-
You don't have to turn your camera on when it was all COVID. I mean, you'll have to establish your rules and procedure as a new council every year on what that looks like. But they've all kind of skirted this. So this requires twice a year the clerk of the council publishes the attendance record in a town hall record. There's no vote by the council. It's automatically done.
All right.
like that.
And if someone is not in compliance with the 15% or the town hall requirement, it triggers a public hearing within 30 days.
What?
And that person then has to explain the absences. They could be sick. They could be whatever. Talk about their ability to fulfill the duties of the job.
Shouldn't they have a chance to explain their absence the
That-
day
that-
that they're absent?
The day, well, if they're not there, I mean, I think in the rules of procedure that we established, that's early in Article 2, they probably could build something in. The chair probably could put a rule in about.
Because
sending
right now
in-
it's just they're not there.
they're not there.
Yeah.
Yeah, no
You
one
know,
knows anything.
and somebody should. I mean, I think
Yeah.
that
Unless you're friends with them.
in this current situation, the commissioner president could say at the beginning of the meeting, so and so is not present.
Well, they do a
because
roll
of-
call, right?
Well, yeah, but somebody
saying
should.
why.
Somebody should be able to say so and so is not attending because, you know.
But what if there's a car accident, right? And so no one knew. But what I'm saying here is our goal, again, transparency and information, right? And public engagement is they hold the hearing and there's an airing out of why you didn't attend.
Well, quick question about that too. When it comes to the town halls, does this also say they have to make up that town hall?
It doesn't say that.
Okay.
It doesn't say that.
Derek, no attendance record and public hearing mandate is for missing meetings is not in any
Okay.
state of Maryland.
Can I say this
But
real
it
quick
is in
too?
ours.
Can I say this because
This one.
I don't want the perception to keep going of just because we have something that may not be what it should be. Well, just because we have it and no one else has it, that makes it good. That just means the bar has been nowhere. That means that we're doing the first thing. It could still be better, but just because other places doesn't have it doesn't mean that just because this is how we have it, it makes it the best thing out.
Well, we're setting a new standard.
We never use that
Yeah,
word.
but-
We're setting a standard. So I don't think that's fair. We didn't say it's the best thing out. We said we're
No,
breaking new
I wasn't
ground.
about you. I was just talking about
We-
how it.
We're breaking new ground.
We're breaking new ground because we had specific events take place that made us as a group of people say, this is what we want. We want this level of accountability here.
And this is the power of a charter, right? That's why it's called a constitution. We can decide to put the things in that we want. We have a specific experience in Charles County. And I think people are really fixated on the current board. And again, I'll say these things have blasted for decades.
Well,
Right.
yeah.
So, and we're saying we're gonna do something different. This is the most people-centered charter that we've looked at in the state. And
Yeah.
we've learned lessons from the old charters.
And even though we are focused on our current Board of Commissioners, we do recognize that there have been systemic issues for quite some time. But our live experience right now is the recent past. This current Board of Commissioners and the last ones. That's basically what's in our memory banks, pretty much.
Not
That's
mine.
affected us today.
Not mine. I mean,
Yeah.
if you're gonna
But
be
that's
honest
what's
about it,
affecting us today.
if you're going to be honest about it, you'll know that Candace Quinn Kelly pretty much pushed staff around and did some of the same things. You're going to know that there was legal issues with tax returns and people exposing, private information, lawsuits related that was paid out because of that. These issues are not new. This is the opportunity to correct a lot of that.
Yeah.
So I will push back on people who have short memories. Right? They have short memories and act like all of a sudden this is bad. And Charles County government's gotten out of control. I think we've been off the rails for a long time.
Yeah.
And people are just now saying, oh, it's only just happened. No.
Well, it's
No.
most county governments and state and federal are off the rails as far as accountability to the people. So I think that
I agree with you on that.
working to set a standard so that we raise that level of accountability and make it legally binding is important.
And that's our goal. And I'm glad you said that because there's a lot of rooms that I go into, they're unwilling to say what you just said.
Yeah.
They're unwilling to say that. They're saying that, no, this is just about these people. No, this is about us putting in some real rules of the road for our government. So.
Yeah.
And I've said all along, I'm not going to, there's some things that I don't like things about charter and some things that sound all right, so I'm not trying to weigh anybody's, push anybody one way or the other.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to find out all
You've
the
been
information.
consistent.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sometimes I get mad.
Hey, I got stories. Myself and other board members, I don't know if Mary's listening. I was at a meeting at the fairgrounds, and this guy screamed at me. He was a senior, and I like to move around. I get nervous, so I don't like to sit behind a table or a podium. And there was one mic, so someone in the crowd might want the mic so they can speak up too. So I walk around a lot.
Yeah.
I'm a pacer anyway. And I'm walking around and I'm talking, and this senior starts yelling at me, you need to go sit down behind that table and stop walking around and moving around and over talking people and go sit down. And he was screaming at me. His bottom dentures fell out of his mouth. He caught them on his chin. I told this story. He caught the dentures, pushed them back in, and then kept yelling at me like nothing happened.
My gosh.
I'm looking around the room like, y'all didn't see this? So it's hard for me to get upset because I got these moments where I want to get like, you can't talk to me like that.
There you go.
But I don't.
Yeah.
But you can't get out of character.
Well,
But I tell people all the time, I'm not elected, right? I'm a citizen. I'm a resident. I was pointing to this. You can't talk to me any way you want to talk to somebody. But when that happened, it was so surreal. I was just like, okay, it's all right. And I'm gonna say there's a gentleman. Carl Schlegel was sitting in the back of the room, and from Schlegel Farms. My kids used to go to Schlegel Farms all the time as a kid, as daycare at school. When that happened, he raised his hand, and he said, "Guys," he said, Greg's volunteering, and this is a chance, even if you don't like charter, to give some ideas and thoughts of what could be in the document, and we should take advantage of this chance. And I will forever be a Carl fan because he turned the temperature down, right? Because it was getting out of hand, and that happened, and the screaming was happening, and Carl was like, "Come on, y'all, let's just settle down." And it was like, you know what? Even and I don't know where Carl feels about charter, but I'm like, you're all right in my book because you helped me in that moment because everyone was
in that gentleman's defense, maybe he just didn't handle that kind of interactive environment well. Not everybody does. But
I was there, but yeah.
I'm the
I
same
say
way.
we all pitch in for denture glue.
I'm trying to be kind.
Yeah.
But how was he? Did anything turn around with him at the end, or he still was?
Well, that group, I'll tell you, that group gave us one of the most detailed line by line. They took Carl's charge seriously. They gave us a document. They had a lot of suggestions. We couldn't take all of them. There were some things in there that we fundamentally disagreed with, and they fundamentally disagreed with, the structure we set up. But, they gave us ideas on increasing the age of the executive, and we did. We didn't go all the way to where they wanted, but we did. They gave ideas of the IG report needs to immediately go to the county attorney so they can act on it. We put that in there. They gave us some ideas about the preamble and simplifying the message for the county, and we did that. So we took their feedback serious. We couldn't do everything they wanted, and they're probably not happy overall.
Nobody ever gives what they want to it, and any kind of political document or anything like that.
But it was one of those things where the anger, like
you definitely don't.
It was like
don't get anything.
It was like a 30-minute vent session, and I felt like a punching bag, and Mary
mad.
did too. But it turned out that they took it serious and gave us some good feedback, and we took some of it.
Oh, yeah, that's dope at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Especially, and then you took some of the ideas too.
Yeah.
Obviously you ain't taking all of them, but meet me halfway. We work here, see we can, where the Venn diagram meets up.
I had at least 2 phone calls with them after that, and one of them was over 2 hours, and I was able to walk through with them on why there were ideas that we couldn't take, and kind of have some hard conversations about it. So.
Well, that's what our democratic republic's about.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
So I have a question about this compilation of laws, 414.
I'm scroll down.
414.
It says the council shall cause all local laws of general application and continuing force in the county to be available in a digital format and available through the county's website, hopefully easy to find.
Hope so.
Within 30 calendar.
You know what? That is,
website's hard to
you know what?
navigate.
That is
Yeah,
one
it
thing.
is.
That
It
is
is.
one thing that I think could have been added into the
An app.
charter of it saying like must be displayed prominently on put
Yeah,
some
or
kind
easy to
of thing
find.
in there. Yeah.
But anyway, it says by the county's website within 30 calendar days of a law's effective date, at intervals not greater than every 5 years, but not less than 1 year. So at intervals not greater than every 5 years. Is that saying that they're going to put those updated laws
So
at least once every 5
so like
years?
even like with the U.S. code and like different laws that are passed, public laws that are passed, annotated versions get printed periodically. Like compilations, like for me, compilations of budget law get printed at periodic intervals because there's all kinds of laws that happen. So I think that's what this is. It's just updates.
Okay. I just got concerned saying intervals not greater than every 5 years. That's more than a whole term.
Yeah. But the initial law is published within the 30 days.
Okay.
It's the updated. It's the updated.
Any revisions to those
Yeah,
laws?
that's how I read that.
Okay.
That's how I read that.
Let's keep scrolling. We should be Article 5 now, right?
Yep.
Executive.
Executive.
All right.
Yep, we're only going to be here till midnight.
Let's see. We're about an hour 30. I want to finish Article 5, or at least go as far as we can. Then we'll take a look at some of the financials, the sheet you have,
Yeah.
and then we'll just leave it open and wrap from there.
Yeah.
But all right, it's a hot one right here. Executive, Charles County.
County exec, full-time manager. They this is their job, no other job. So if you scroll down a little bit, their job is to manage government. The
How far down?
council's-
Is that good?
Now let's keep scrolling a little bit more. Actually, you know what? No, let's stay here. This is important. So right now we have a commissioner president and 4 district commissioners that do both. They manage and they legislate. I argue they more manage than legislate. They don't do a lot of the legislative part. So this is a full-time manager. Their job is to submit a budget and to propose one. Their job is not to pass the budget. It's the council's. Their job is to whatever the council implements in law, then they have to, enacts in law. Their job as an executive is to implement it. And their job is to speak for the county as a whole. So we put into this powers and duties that, they have to, it seems small, but they need to have an annual State of the County address. What's the vision for Charles
Makes
County?
sense.
The annual State of the County. Have we ever had that?
We
No.
used to do one through the
I know we get that
chamber,
one like summary at the end of the year.
Who gonna give it?
Like
the annual report.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a document.
I mean, yeah, it's PowerPoint.
Yeah, they used to do
Someone
an
else made.
address with the chamber, but that was pre-COVID and it hasn't come back. This requires, Howard County does it, Prince George's County does it. This requires someone to go up to the residents and say, this is what we just did. Here's what we enacted going forward. Here's what our new priorities are. Like, who speaks as that one voice? For
Not
Charles
to mention,
County?
as
Like
an
a
elected
campaign.
official, why wouldn't you not want to do that?
So
It's
we-
like a campaign thing, to be honest. A little part
Exactly
of
what
it
it
too.
is.
Yeah, I mean, okay. I would say it's similar to like when the president does the State of the Union. Yes, it's laying out here's the country, here's their vision for it, but also it's like, hey, go my people, look what I've done. Rah 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 for me. I'm not saying we shouldn't do it. I think we should do it. I'm just saying that's also a part of it.
yeah, but where
Well, it
can
shouldn't
you?
be an election speech. It
No.
should be a.
Yeah, you're right, it
should
shouldn't
be a
be, but-
reflection of.
Don't these always double as an election speech?
Kind of like in my mind
It does,
that
yeah.
is what it
And
probably
depending
would
on
be.
how close you are to an election.
What do you think it should be, Angela?
I think it should be an accurate reflection of where we are in the county and what's being done.
Maybe it should be given by the department heads to say, hey, this is what's going on with this section. Like if you're planning growth, this is what's happening with how we're developing
I mean,
housing.
They can do
Here's
their
how
own.
things are going.
They can do their own side hustle, but
Yeah.
you want the main person. You want the main thing.
Yeah, and she or he can make those people available too. At the end.
Well,
There's
yeah.
different ways to do it.
I'm thinking maybe a good format would be for the county executive to give a brief statement and then bring up the heads to say,
Yeah.
this is the status of our department,
Mhm.
budget overruns.
I don't know.
staff
Some people
shortages.
complained when a commissioner did that in Bryan's Road when she had a bunch of department people there. They were like, "Oh no, there's too many other people talking."
Because that's not what it was advertised as.
It was
Greg,
not.
like, look,
it
I
was
was just
not.
messing with you.
Nah, you ain't gonna get away with that one.
Because then Stuart Boland did a town hall and did the
catch him on
same
a
damn
bicycle.
thing, and nobody
I
said
know.
nothing.
I think
was
it's
like,
so
"Wait a minute,
crazy
y'all.
that
Wait a
their
minute."
town halls have turned into just like department press conferences at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, let's have a department
Yes.
press conference.
We should. I bet you. You
Yeah,
know what, that'd be more
that's
probably
separate
useful.
from a town hall. That doesn't count.
Well, right now these department heads, they pretty much like their own government. So
They're the ones who seem to be putting up all the bills that they want passed.
Hey, who runs government, right? Not your elected officials. But let's scroll down.
I want to vote for a department head.
So in C, we also require, because people have
C?
said, like, how do you access or have a town hall or engagement with your executive? We also require, in addition to, I believe there's 4 or 5 budget town halls, we require a county-wide annual town hall for engagement with the executive, right? We just think, again, public engagement is like a core tenet of this document. Scroll down some more if you can for me. I want to get to terms because I mentioned Montgomery County, so I think it's in 506 maybe.
let me
Term of
scroll.
office 505.
505. Here we go.
505B. The county executive shall serve no more than a maximum of 2 terms, whether served consecutively or apart. There is no county executive that has this type of term limit in the state. None. Every single county executive in the state, their charter reads consecutive terms.
So weird.
So what has happened is those executives, mostly after they sit out for 4, don't come back.
Right.
It's a long time. Mm-hmm. It's not a little bit of time. We heard people complain or be concerned about the power of an executive. We wrote the strictest term limit possible in the state of Maryland.
I like that.
We went back and forth about this, both with the legal and amongst the board, but we thought this role is that important that you need new people to run for it. So 2 terms, that's it.
Sorry,
How's the energy drink treating you?
I'm up past my bedtime. It doesn't help me very much when I get up at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Well,
506, that qualification went from 21 years of age to 25. We talked about that a bit. 506B, you cannot have another job. You
great.
can own another business. You can own a business as long as you're not the operator.
What if it's conflicting with
yeah.
The ethics code, chapter 170, deals with conflicts of interest. That's what we've talked to the county about. So we think that's going to protect
So
us.
if you like,
So
if you're like a real estate agent or a commercial developer, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
And I think,
can't-
So
the
it's not
IG
in-
can flag that as well.
So it's not in here that you have to like step down from the business, sign it over to a family member or anything. So you can still.
Slide down
If
for
you're
me,
not
okay.
sitting there running the day-to-day operations,
Yeah. You can't
And
be
is
an
that
operator.
how is that checked to know that you're not sitting as a day-to-day operator? Like I would say should it be more of you have no like say in the business? Like it's like when I guess you would say for like a president or something, I'm removing myself totally from that business. I can sign it over to a family member's name or something like that. So you don't have any kind of seeming of conflict of interest of where I still have a stake in the positivity of the business.
Well,
well,
you
if
can
they
still have a
determine
stake
that the
in it.
business is a conflict of interest, then you're not going to be able to run it
Right.
all.
Right.
Your opponents will bring that up immediately.
Yeah,
The
you're not
IG
going to be able to run it all.
the IG can
But
uncover that.
if you're, let's say, for instance, you, I'm trying to think of a business. Let's say, for instance, the guy who owns Foster's Grill.
I mean, hey, you can
In
do
Shout out to
Plata.
some.
Scott.
I mean, hold
Yeah,
on, you
let's-
can do
let-
some.
No, wait a minute. Let's say
Okay.
the guy who runs Foster's Grill. I mean, he's there every day. I've seen him in the back cooking and everything else when they're busy.
Good
That
people.
he is there every day, running the operations, overseeing the operations, supervising people. He's doing that all the time. He's interacting with his customers. That business is dependent on his presence for it to be able to operate. So if you have people that you have hired to run your business, you're not going there every day. You can still sign checks. You can still make decisions based on reports that your employees are bringing back to you, meetings and whatnot. You know that they say this. We held this meeting and blah 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 blah. And what do you want us to do? You know, that could be done after hours. That could be an email. That's not day-to-day operations where that business is dependent on you being there every day to be able to function. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. How would that be? I guess would that be like a OIG check, like where they're going to the business to make sure you're not showing up there? Because like, how would you
I think
make
it's
that?
something that people
like, how
would
would
know.
you make? Well, I mean,
But people talk so much in this town.
but hey, we see a lot of people talking this town. Stuff still kind of happens around here. So that's what I'm saying. Is that one of those things? It's like it says it, but there's no real way to like enforce that. Is
Well,
it
the
one of
way you
those?
can enforce it is if
Public shame.
It's the IG.
Where that work at?
It's the IG, right, or the Board of Ethics. We
Okay,
could say
okay,
they're,
that's what I was saying.
I think
It's
it's
a-
both. I think it's both. I think it's
Okay.
both.
Yeah.
Both the Ethics Commission in Chapter 170, the Code of Ethics. It's the IG, and I think if you are in direct conflict, found to be in direct conflict of this part of the
Yeah.
charter, I think you either have to step down or you risk forfeiture of office.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great.
Or potential
So-
removal, either one. I don't know which one. I
Because
think legal would have
it's a
to.
malfeasance. It's a misrepresentation.
Right. So, I think there's a few avenues to
Yeah.
enforce it.
Okay. Compensation.
Yeah, we left it at 150. 150 is what was in the 2014 document. If you survey the counties, that's close to what Hartford makes. I think Hartford is 147 or about 150. Anne Arundel's a little under. It's 142. Howard, Baltimore, they're in the 180s, 190s, I think. And, of course, Prince George's and Montgomery's like 230.
Yeah.
So, you know, we thought
230.
we thought 150 kind of
man, crazy.
balances, you know, not on the
Damn.
high side, but we are in a competitive area too.
Yeah.
I mean, it also comes with the power of running or being the county executive too, as an added benefit.
People don't run for these jobs just for the compensation.
No,
Right.
a lot of them is for the power, for what I can do later on.
The next
stuff like
step.
Next
that.
up.
Yeah,
But
platform.
it's only a maximum of 8 years, so you know you're going to be looking for another job
yeah.
Yeah.
too.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's how's the pension for that, or is there medical and all those things?
They do get fringe benefits, and I think they would get whatever the county pension is. They would get county benefits.
Okay.
They don't accrue leave, so they wouldn't walk out with a big leave payout because they're always on the job. They're not taking leave.
So are we
Yeah.
talking about pension benefits like Congress gets?
No, whatever the county
For life?
whatever the county offers.
So only while they're in the job.
I think the pension is for when pension's for when you're retired.
Yeah, you're done.
How long does it take to become vested in the county?
I don't know. I should know the answer to that.
So someone shows
you
up
should know
here.
Where's
the
the-
answer to that.
Does Derek, do you know the answer to that?
yeah,
Yeah, Derek.
Derek Terry's on.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, Derek wrote this.
Right. We need the government document.
Can you scroll back up just a little bit?
Yeah, how far up? Just
Right
let me know
there.
to stop.
Yeah, just
All
right there. Just right there. Yeah, so they get the benefits, the fringe benefits that county employees get as a full-time employee themselves.
Okay.
There's one. It's a part. Oh no, further down about them getting replaced if they're like leave and stuff like that.
Oh, vacancy.
Yeah.
Which is one thing. I guess so. This is different than the council. It looks like with this, the council appoints someone to just fill that vacancy, and then is there a special?
Well, somebody has to have the
election?
key. Yeah, B is the special election.
Okay.
But immediately, someone still has to have the keys to the car. Things
Yeah.
need to get done. Contracts need to get signed. Decisions need to get made for day-to-day government. So there has to be an immediate person that's in an acting capacity that knows how the current system works. So that's the initial appointment by the council. But the special election procedure is in B.
An election shall be held simultaneously to the congressional elections to elect the new. So the person, whoever. Okay, so if it occurs 90 calendar days before the next congressional election, then that means that person who's appointed is just going to hold that seat until whenever the congressional election is. Is that what I'm?
Yeah, someone has to be in the seat until the
Okay,
election
but it's not going to
occurs.
be like.
It's not
like,
a special election.
Yeah, so it's
just
not a
the
special
next-
election.
Oh, let me look. I'm sorry.
That's what it sounds like to me. It's not a special
If a
election,
vacancy
so
fell, but they
it would just be whoever's appointed runs the county. For a
Derek
while.
says 8 to 12 years
Oh.
for the pension.
Oh, okay. Well, then that
He
puts
is
you right
on the
after.
job.
Become vested.
Yeah, then that puts you right. If you do county executive, that's 4-4, so that puts you right at that 8. Oh.
Show up.
If
County
it's 8
exec.
years.
He is on the
Retired for
job.
life.
Right.
I don't know if it's that sweet.
Well, hold on, that's what happened
How
to the-
good is the pension for the
I
county
was like, well, the
employees?
superintendent I know of schools, didn't she get like what, healthcare for life for free or not?
Oh, was this the Kim Hill?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He used to be my principal.
I never looked at it to see. I heard people say that online.
That's what I've heard
I
online.
never
I
looked at
don't-
it to verify
yeah.
it.
But yeah, do you read that the same, Greg? That me and Angela see it as that there's not a special election.
Election shall
I don't
be
see
held
anything that says special
simultaneous to the
election.
'Cause it doesn't
congressional
It
Just
says
say
the
when it would be
congressional
held.
election.
Yeah, so this wouldn't be. There would be no special election for county.
It'll be the next 2 year. Yeah.
Wow.
That's how I read that.
So
If
they
a
could
vacancy-
potentially be in there for 2 years.
Yeah. Do you know why you all decided not to do a special election?
I don't know. I'm blanking right now. Why this is different? This has always been this. We haven't changed this.
An employee, Jane Williams. What's going on, Jane? An employee is vested for after 5 years of service and is eligible for early retirement after 20 years of service or age 60.
Okay, so nobody would qualify for 20 years. Nobody would make it 20 years because we've got
Wouldn't be in office that long.
two-term limit.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, not unless you
But
do
they might be
council
they
too.
might be over 60.
I mean, well, also not unless you do council twice, executive twice, and then come back and do council again.
So it doesn't make sense for someone to show up and do exec. You might as well.
Yeah, do council and then do exec, and then go back to council for a little bit.
But you need to win.
Can
those
you do that?
races.
Can you do council, then exec,
Yep.
and then go back to council?
Yep.
Yeah.
Like I said, in that little while.
Because it does. It's that break.
Yeah, and then it puts you perfectly too because you do 2 terms. I do 2 terms if I get it as
Well, the
or
ex-
not me, but if the person gets as county executive, and then whoever was running in your council seat before, that's their 2 terms, so they can't run again. Oh, well, you're great to come back because you got name recognition.
I think
People
the
know
thing that you're
you.
glossing over is that there's new people in those seats, right? And right now, these people just stay in the seats. There's actually new people
You
that will
still
be
have
in the
you'd have to
seats.
bounce around. You'd have to bounce.
Yeah,
and you'd have to have
there would be elections.
you'd have
for
to
those.
have the reputation to be able to
Well,
be
yeah.
elected in those other roles.
Well, I would say not just the reputation, like we
Or
see a
enough
lot of
money.
people who get election, like we see money or
It's just the name.
or did you got the name recognition? Because we see a lot of people who vote for the same people.
Just because
Honestly,
they
I have
said
no
their name.
idea. I saw that name last time. I think you know what? Let me vote for them.
Couple
Yep.
signs on billboards.
And there's
Oh.
one, and there's one executive seat where there's 5 that have this council term. So what you're describing is an unusual thing. There are new people because there's not 5 that
Oh
would
no,
be
no,
replacing.
no. Yeah, what I'm saying is like if it's like
But in theory, it could be done,
yeah, it can be done in theory. Yeah,
and that's somebody who's making a career out of
Yeah.
running for office.
We have
yeah.
career
I mean,
politicians.
we got that
in
on
office.
everywhere. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
No, we do.
There's no term
There's one
limits,
born every
and-
day.
Hello, Michael.
Mr. Leftwich.
What's up, Mike?
Or a temporary absence. In the event of a temporary absence, the CAO sits in. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Hold on, I'm gonna just scroll down and see how
All
much.
right.
Actually, so if you can go back real quick, I know we want to stop here and then open it up. So we talked about this earlier. County administrator. This is the top job. This and county attorney are the 2 top jobs in Charles County government. Charles County government itself, not sheriff, not board of ed, not school board, school system. So this is different. If you are appointed as the administrative officer within 6 months, as it says right in the middle, you need to become a Charles County resident and registered voter. Right now, we've had administrators that currently live in St. Mary's, that have previously lived in Baltimore County or Baltimore City, and that have lived in Anne Arundel County. Same thing if you scroll to 513 county attorney. Within 6 months of an appointment, you need to reside within Charles County and be a registered voter. We just think these positions are that important that you need to be a part of the Charles County community.
I agree with that.
Better find one of the new apartments behind the Audis and play them.
Those things aren't cheap.
Yeah, dude.
Right.
$3,000. I'm
Wow.
like, okay.
They ain't nothing
Are
in Charles
they?
County cheap. Oh, ain't nothing. Charles
Well, like
County
a,
has
like a couple
horrible-
bedroom. I think one bedroom's like 2,000.
So maybe we'll get some rent
Like this
stabilization out here.
It's $2,000.
Yep.
Yeah, it's bad.
With the jobs out here, you can't live off of it either. So that's one question I have as you scroll down a little bit too, is that the removal of department heads and others, is there a way for the council to say, you know what, we have to remove someone?
Can the
if it's-
council override the executive?
The council can override the initial appointment.
But once they're in
so
there,
once what Carlos is saying is once they're in, can they remove?
Yeah.
So the person works at the pleasure of an executive, and that's what happens when you have that chain of command, right? I would say to you that the council can pressure through budget power, through oversight hearings and through the power of the IG to compel it.
But they can't.
But because that person
Actually.
doesn't work for the council, and interference is something that we've worried about recently, right? And we have a non-interference clause in the council section that you can't interfere with the executive staff. So Commissioner Bowling brings up often, well, there's 2 charter counties that don't have county executives. Why didn't we do that? Those counties are Dorchester and Talbot, 2 of the smallest counties, 30,000 people. What is Dorchester dealing with right now? They don't have an executive, so each council person is meddling with the administrator in the departments. And then you got staff trying to figure out, who do I report to, right? So because there's not clear division of who's responsible for what. So a council should not be able to remove a department head.
I guess I'll say that.
Just like Congress can't
Unless you
move-
have something to go to an IG with.
Yeah.
Well, no, wait. Can't in Congress in the Senate impeach one of them but they can also do that to remove someone. And I think what you can get where removing a department head is you can have it. Yeah, you go through the appointment process, nomination, then you get appointed. All right, cool. Now I'm serving just with the county executive. I'm not going to respond to issues brought up by the council, or I'm just going to do what
That's
the
how
county
chain of
executive
command
says.
works.
But you could have it to where there's no one holding certain department heads accountable as well. You can have a county executive who says, I'm cool with letting things run a certain way because, and I don't care if the people are upset about it.
That could cost the executive their job. They report to the person, the department heads report to them. That's the way a chain of command works.
I get what you're saying too.
This
And
sounds
it's
like a
also
worst case scenario, and I get those type of scenarios from
Yeah.
you, but that seems unworkable. We're back in the same interference situation that we're in now.
I think making it like a super majority, making it so like it's a difficult thing to pass, because I think it'd be hard to get 4 out of the 5 of them to say we're all going to collude together to remove a department head and prove it to the people why they're removing a department head.
Charles County doesn't have clear leadership or governing structure for day-to-day government, right? And it gives the impression that county staff just kind of runs things on their own. We've heard that. We've heard that over decades.
Yeah, I just said that tonight.
You just
Department
said-
heads is running their own
Yeah.
thing.
You just
We
said it.
they should run for
So
election.
we're,
and we
we're
vote for them.
finally
Yeah, put
putting
them up
in
here.
we're finally putting in clear reporting structures. I don't think it makes any sense to undermine that out the gate. And the council has budget power. So
Mike says, let it go.
Oh.
Bro.
Temporary administrative appointments, and then we'll
yeah. If someone
from
someone dies or leaves, it allows the executive to appoint someone as acting, and then the council review the next person, and you can kind of extend that appointment over in 4-month increments. You ultimately want to get a confirmed department head, but you might have to have someone acting for some period of time just to do a job search. Right.
That's 5 articles. How many total in here? I know this is 36
7.
pages. 7.
Yeah. We've talked a lot about the budget power. We don't necessarily have to go through the budget, but
I'll click on it real quick.
the biggest thing about the budget article, the next article,
ahead.
is there's a lot of engagement in it. There's a lot of town halls. There's a lot of public hearings. There's a lot of asking you what you want to have in the budget, and then the executive showing you, and then giving it to the council, and the council passes it.
That's nice.
So it's checks and balances.
What am I on? Dial up? What's going on over here?
Oh, is this the fiscal note?
They were
Yeah.
talking about all these
Yeah.
elected officials and department heads.
Oh, Lord, dude. I'm over here running Ethernet connection. What is this? We'll just park it here for, and then we can recook this, or we can get back to a lot of this on part 3.
Yeah, just so they can see the numbers. It's a cost range. And there's some uncertainty in a few places, but this is county staff giving their best estimate for a range based on looking at similar sized counties with some similar features. So 1.2 to 1.6 million. The 2014 charter had it might have been an unofficial estimate, but the 2014 charter board's estimate was around 1.2 million. So I think we did pretty well, given that we added the IG, which is going to save us money. So.
And I guess, and you might have just set this up. I may miss it. What's the difference between the 1.156 and the 1.599?
It's a
think so.
range.
It's a range.
Okay.
Some of it's staffing.
It's
Oh,
a
okay.
it's a low
that
low
low
end
high.
and a high end.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But I just want, while you have this up there, I want to be clear because I've seen this and some of the groups, but some of the people that we're all familiar with that chime in on charter all the time, and they repeat things that I try to respectfully.
I am about to read some to you here shortly.
I try to respectfully disagree with people, and I always, when I comment, I try to provide a data point or a fact versus trying to get into some type of personality thing. But this includes staff, this includes fringes, this includes cars if necessary, this includes office space, this includes office furniture, right? This is just not the elected officials. And they can read all of that as they go through the document.
So this estimated impact is to, if charter is voted in, this is to get it going.
This is the first year. This would be fiscal year 2026.
Okay, so this is just 1 year impact.
And then it's baked in, right? And then county government would this is the incremental cost.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next year, county government would do a budget process and decide what it needs, just like they do now, right? So, but these are the additional staff people. So for the executive, we need one additional staff person, because the county administrator staff would work for the executive. For the council, you would need 3 additional staff people, and for the IG, you would need four additional staff people.
Okay.
So there's a lot of language out there that's just explosive, and all these people hired.
We do
Most of the
have
people are already there.
And I'm going to
People
go
are already
there.
there.
I'm going to
You
go
go
there.
there, Angela.
We do have we're going to have to vote for this bill,
Yep.
and then we'll find out how much it really costs later on.
With any cost estimate, that would
We
have been
still
true.
have that.
With any cost estimate, that would have been true. Whether county staff did it, I did it, you have to go through a budget process.
I understand
Every
that.
year.
I think that everybody is nervous about that, given
Sure.
the state of the economy and our inflation rates, and that our taxes are going up. SMETCO's getting ready to try and raise our electric bills by
I saw it.
11%.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a direct result of the green initiatives.
I would say also SMECO having total control over what they do price wise in the
But
county.
they have to buy the electricity out.
But then they also could say, SMECO could say, you know what, we'll raise it 15%. Who are you competing with? SMECO has no one to compete with. It's just SMECO.
I'm sorry, did Michael
Man,
say
the solar panels.
4.0?
Should've took 'em.
I'm sorry. Hey,
Could've voted for him.
Where would you go?
hey, is that a Jay-Z reference from Michael? 4.0, 4.6? What's the difference? Isn't that a Jay-Z
4.0,
reference?
4.6,
lost it.
Carlos.
The Range Rover difference?
Oh, maybe.
Y'all don't know that?
Yo,
I'm dating
Yeah.
myself.
All right, go ahead,
What's the
Greg.
difference between a 4.0 to 4.6? 30, never mind. I can't say it. I can't repeat the
Hey,
lyrics.
shout out to
Go ahead,
Leftwich.
Greg, finish it out.
So
Shout out to Mike, man.
I think that in our current economic environment, everybody's concerned
I get what you're
about
saying,
that.
Sure.
Yes,
So
sir.
it's
I see you, Mike.
So
Reasonable
yes,
doubt,
sir, he
Jay-Z.
says.
So back to Angela's point too, and this I want to get to. We can kind of end off of this. I'm gonna give you the mic to answer this. So charter, a lot of people think taxes increase. Obviously Angela's talking about we haven't seen as far as the cost. You're talking about estimated costs. There's some of the things we just don't know yet.
Well, you got the cost. You got the only estimate. The only cost you're going to get is an estimate, and the county did it. We didn't do it. So there is a cost estimate with it. It's public. We promised it. The county delivered on it, and that's the information you have to judge the charter on.
So I want to read this comment here because you told me this is what you're telling us now. There's obviously other internet personalities that are saying otherwise.
Okay.
So I'm gonna read this comment here from BJ.
BJ is the same guy who said, Greg, I won't debate the charter until it's final, but he debates it every day on social media. I find that really rich.
I'm gonna read one of his comments too, and I'm gonna let
find that really
you
rich.
in person. I'm gonna let you
Yeah.
respond to it.
I text with BJ, so I mean, this is not unusual.
So he says this is I think probably about a week or two back. I threw in the message to you too, so we can just prepare for the podcast. He said, I think folks asking for more teachers, sheriff deputies, and paramedics might have a problem spending county taxpayer money on charter opposed to those essential positions. We could hire more deputies, teachers, and paramedics with the money charter proposes to spend on itself. Think taxes are high now. Wait till the government has to raise property taxes to pay for charter.
Let me sit on my seat for
There
this.
will be no property tax increase to pay for charter. A council, has to vote for an increase, just like commissioners voted for a property tax increase in 2014. Bowling's point is interesting. If you look at the budget that he just voted on, a 5.6% increase, $35 million more dollars than last year. It has 80 some new positions in it. And before he says those are all sheriffs, teachers, etc., there's more positions in there that are on the admin side than there are in the charter. This is all public information. You can look up the new FTEs in his budget, and he has administrative positions in there. So, for him to say that he's only hiring for services is not true. They're adding administrative positions right now, and it's on his own county government's website. So don't gaslight us as if we are adding, and I don't even know if I use that term right, but if we're adding all these non-service related positions, we're trying to actually stand up a more accountable government. And it's pretty lean compared to a historic increase that he just voted for, right? So I hear him make these comments all the time. He just bought a $5 million new government building in La Plata in 2023. It wasn't even part of the budget process. They did it mid-year. They bought 107 Centennial Street in La Plata, $5 million, which is more than the cost of new space in our document. He made that decision pretty easily, right? You all should be asking where was the transparency and the forward information on should the county be buying 107 Centennial Street,
Or Gilligan's.
right? So I hear him. It's a convenient argument,
Where you at, Gil?
but I'm not convinced by it. And
I
don't
think
the
we have a
public's gonna
long time history of buying property that doesn't serve the county any purpose or the people.
be. Yes.
I'll give you that.
And a lot of empty buildings around here too.
Oh,
Yes.
a lot of storage units too, and an airport.
And I was at his town hall in Cobb Island, and he stood there and said, if you vote for the charter, you're going to add $4.8 million to renovate the building. The county administrator asked that task force to come up with some scenarios to renovate the auditorium. And one of the scenarios was to do a second floor above the auditorium and to make it virtual, and it was going to be $4.8 million, and she rejected it and said, go back to the drawing board. So that does not need to be how we deal with an executive and a council. We could lease space for the executive if we need to. We don't have to do a second floor in the auditorium. So I think it's intellectually dishonest for him to take out of the FY25 budget, Derek can tell you the line numbers, like line 90 something in the CIP, and pull out $4.8 million under this form of government and say, this is because of the charter. Get out of here.
The animal shelter, we can't forget the animal
They just
shelter.
did a cost increase for that, right? Because they got
What happened
caught
with the
up.
animal
I
shelter?
think you're talking about the
didn't they get
animal
put off
shelter.
so
No,
long
the
it had
4.8
to-
million is the
No, I think you're
renovation.
talking about the property that they bought across from Regency Stadium where they were supposed to build an animal
I haven't
shelter
even
years
mentioned that
ago.
yet. I haven't
And they
mentioned that yet.
didn't,
It was
and
so long, the
there was
project
an
went up.
RFP, and
Yeah.
the bid got screwed up, and the contractor sued the
I haven't even
county.
gotten to that one.
We've spent millions of dollars on that, and we
Oof.
still only have the Tri-County Animal Shelter.
Yeah.
And
They just
it's-
approved a few weeks ago a budget item for the cost increase for that, and it was a few million, I think.
Yeah, there's
because
no
of
air
time.
conditioning down there in the kennels or anything like that.
See,
They just-
need
they
some
just
air
don't believe it.
conditioning out here. It's crazy. They want everybody just to be hot and upset.
Dog, human, don't matter.
Yeah. So Michael mentions no rec center.
We
so
don't.
Waldorf Park, which isn't even a sportsplex, it's an outdoor set of facilities, and it's innovative. It has like a food truck area and I think a pavilion. So that's actually been in the CIP since at least 2018. The county just hasn't funded it, and I don't know if it's because they decided to do the dog park, the animal shelter instead, or it's because they want to buy a county government building instead. But who's making the decisions? And you have no visibility, Mike, in why they prioritize that
Yep.
mid-year to buy that La Plata building versus building a rec facility somewhere. We're talking about trying to provide more visibility throughout the process. And people are frustrated for that no rec center point that Mike mentioned.
I'm gonna cut that up.
Okay, great.
I'm gonna
That's
post that
good.
one. I'm gonna post that one.
I mean,
I believe. Hey, there's some reason why we do this here too. Just public information. Make sure the word's getting out. Things
Yeah.
of that sort. So.
yeah.
Selling watches at the car wash.
with the jacket on,
Right.
sleeves on. Before we close out, everyone here, open thoughts. Anything on the mind you want to get off before we get out of here?
Yeah, I want to tell Miss Lee Ha that I love pets too. I'm just messing with her. And
Lee Ha, I gotta hit you up.
And she knows why I'm messing with her with the Lee Ha.
Ashley, want to go ahead?
Mm-mm.
Okay. Well,
No, I'm good.
oh, okay.
I'm interested to see where we get to next month.
What is
so.
next now, Greg? What is next? What's happening from here?
Next Tuesday, we present to the commissioners. We'll
Is that live
essentially,
stream?
yeah, it'll be CCG TV.
Or YouTube.
Is it on YouTube as well? Do they do YouTube?
The way they do YouTube is so weird. They do not leave the recordings on YouTube, but they live stream it. So once the live stream's over, it's gone. off
So
of
someone's
YouTube
going in and
completely.
deleting it.
But it exists.
But
on
then you
that
ask the
website.
county why, and they say, "Oh, well, it's because the subtitles may not be correct, and may not
Nonsense.
be ADA compliant."
I do the
school board
same
does
thing
it.
they do.
and the
I
school
know
board
exactly
does
how
it.
this works.
Exactly.
They
Can't-
don't. They
can't
don't
lie to
want
me.
us to be able to go back and pull up the
Yeah,
information.
and find it easily to be able to
Find it
post
easily.
clips.
It
and
is
stuff
on their
like
web.
that.
It is on their CCG TV website. You have to search
For a lot of people, that's
there.
very
It's
hard.
difficult to
Yeah, yeah,
find.
yeah.
For
I'm
a lot
not
of
saying
people.
stuff.
What I've done in the past, I've taken that, I've screen recorded it, like when all that was going on with bowling and what was that whole big thing? The first thing with the censure.
Charity Farm.
No. Coats couldn't talk.
Censure.
Yeah, the censure. There it is.
censure.
Yeah, I just said it. Yeah, the
yeah,
censure.
yeah.
Yeah, that I had to screen record from the website, and then I was able to post it from there. Yeah, I'm
There you
just a
go,
little
Ricky.
smarter than
Yeah.
them. So
There you
no,
go,
they're
Ricky.
deleting it. Let's be
Yeah.
honest. That's not the thing that happens.
It's crazy.
Yeah, so we'll present it. I'm assuming it'll be live and you can watch it after. I'm hoping they ask us questions. It'll be me and I think Danielle Mitchell. And then the board is done. That's our last official action next Tuesday. The commissioners have to get the ballot question ready with the Board of Elections. They'll publish it. They did hire a firm to distribute information about the charter to the public, and I think they're going to do a number of different things to get information out so people know what it is, what they're voting on. And then November, the commissioners will vote on it when we all vote on it on November 5th.
So there's going to be a public comment period where they're going to collect public comments on the submission, but they're not going to change it.
They can't change it.
They can't change it. So.
And I think the public comment is the standard public comments. I
Yeah.
think people will be talking about anything, but hopefully they talk about charter too.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I do expect that, I'm passionate about this. So I think sometime in the fall, I'll probably be out talking to voters. Because I
How
want
can you resist?
I want to see it through. yeah. I want to see it through. So this is a long time coming
I'm
for the
ready to
county.
see y'all act a fool at the polls out here. That's what I'm ready for.
Be out there wearing t-shirts, all that.
I'm not going to reveal my strategy, but
Ooh.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm gonna talk to folks and
Set up a super PAC.
maybe there'll be some events too, but they won't be official. They won't be Charles County government because we'll be done as a board.
You gonna make you a super PAC, Greg?
Hey, lay the groundwork 2026.
Right.
No, this is fun. We should get together sometime in August, and then from there, after the meeting, we can we'll have some more information, and we can go from there.
Yeah, I think it'd be a good idea to get back together again.
Yeah, August. I mean, maybe it's September. I don't know when those sample ballots go out to the public. I think that's when they're going to tune in when they receive those ballots in the mail. Right.
What's that more like a
That's like
October thing?
Yeah,
Is that
I think-
October?
I think it's October.
So maybe
yeah.
September, October, we could do it. Maybe late September, after everyone gets back to school,
They
they've
get
settled
mail-in
down.
ballots, stuff like that, yeah.
People start to focus on this. It'd be good to do it.
Hey, we'll be on the front lines
And
for
maybe
it.
some of this propaganda will be coming out about it to the people, so we'll be able to talk about that as well. It's all propaganda to me, whether it's my propaganda or your propaganda.
There'll be a lot of there'll be a lot of information. There'll be a lot of information. for the
Alternative facts.
Yeah.
public. Hey, but I'm gonna be honest with y'all about something. So I've named a few names. So I went to the Little Plata Firehouse for a town hall, and God bless him, Lynn Gilroy, I guess he's a former Little Plata fire chief. He stood there with a document and handed it out to people. And you can hand out whatever you want at our events. It's fine. And it said, vote no to charter. But it said stuff in it like, the charter will create a career fire department. It does not. We just went through the document. It's not in there. That's not a form of government issue, right? In the 90s or early 2000s, Charles County commissioners created career EMTs. Charles County commissioners could create career fire right now if they wanted to. Why don't they?
I mean,
Because the volunteers save us money.
That like Bowling talks about, and he does bring up a good point, is that, you know, with all the development that we've got going on, we don't have, we're not, I mean, we talk about developer impact fees and everything, but we're really not implementing them.
which is insane.
Could we, how would the Department of Planning operate under a charter? Would would the council be able to enact legislation that would say you can't build more houses until we have enough schools,
Pretty sure
or
this-
until we have enough fire to serve, or enough hospital? I mean, you sit and wait. I sat with somebody who was dying of cancer for 8 hours in the emergency room waiting for her to get a room in early June. Without the proper pain medication the whole time.
I went through that.
I mean, if we don't, we got to make sure we have the proper infrastructure.
We do.
We don't have the proper infrastructure.
I know,
But that's not a form of government issue.
It's not it is a form of government issue.
No, it's not. It's not a form of government issue. We added career EMTs because of that kind of demand under commissioner form of government. If anyone thinks we have the current commissioners are doing this to add career fire, they got 3 votes to add career fire right now. They got 3 votes right now, so why don't they do it?
Yeah, no,
Because
but
the
what I'm
volunteers
trying to
save us
say,
money.
do you understand what I'm saying?
I hear you.
Is that could we
pass a bill to stop?
Could we pass a bill so that we could say developers coming here to the county, part of that is you don't get the approval to build until we have
adequate infrastructure?
Adequate infrastructure. Yeah, and Bowling does talk about that a lot, and he's 100% correct.
And what does that have to do with charter? That's not a charter issue. Yeah. That's a local legislation issue. There's maybe a state piece to it too, which is a benefit to a charter. Well,
that's not a charter issue per se, but that's something that charter could do. That's what I'm saying.
So, and Bowling talked about this with the 4th and 5th Club about agritourism, and talking about getting a champion. And it's hard. He said that it was hard to get 5 commissioners to agree and to get that champion in Annapolis to help move legislation.
But you need 3 commissioners to agree to.
You kind of want all of them.
Oh yeah.
Most of the time you want consensus, right? But having that executive helps to move
that. Yes, I understand that.
Right.
I understand that.
So if you need this type of legislation, if you need to move forward on this kind of stuff, charter counties do better.
Yeah. Wouldn't that be under planning and growth management though?
The implementation of it. I thought we were talking about a legislative fix first.
Yeah, I am. Yeah.
I know Prince George's County passed a bill there was a bill that was put up to ban townhomes from being built for a certain period of time. So
we had a moratorium at one point in Charles County, but I don't think it was enforced, or it was short-lived.
That's so wild.
It was short-lived.
Potato loves development. Let me stop reading this thing. Oh, I did have one thing. I didn't see anything in the charter when it comes to appointments of department heads about putting it so that previous elected officials or like family members of elected officials cannot serve or be nominated to it either, because I think we could see a circumstance of, depending who gets the county executive position, not all, but you could have certain nominations given to previous elected officials, not because you're the best one for it.
Well, we have it happening right now where we have people putting on boards and things like that are.
How much transparency do you all have right now in the hiring or who the candidates are in the review of department heads?
No, you're exactly right. I'm just saying, is that something that you all considered, and that if it was, why didn't you all put it in there as saying that you cannot have held office previously in Charles County and be appointed to being a department head?
I don't know. That's an automatic deal breaker. That might be a super experienced person. I think there's a presumption that person is crooked. There's a presumption.
I would say crooked. I would say that you have
what we've done is put daylight.
You're cool with these people, so it's easier to move you through. Where you have seen people, it's like, hey, we're cool. Like, you used to be elected, so I'm not gonna undercut. I'm not saying you, but I'm saying people saying like, I'm not gonna undercut you because you used to be elected. So sure, we'll nominate you for X, Y, and Z because you want to be there.
I mean, I think if the person's qualified, we now have created a process where there's daylight where you have none at all right now.
No, you're exactly right.
So that actually will put those things out there in the public space, and that creates pressure.
Said PG's finest. He learned from Jack Johnson. I was there when Jack Johnson was stuffing that money down that toilet. I was there, but I was
you were there, Ricky.
I was in the county borders.
Yeah.
Industry.
I worked for County Executive Wayne Curry in the budget office when I was at Princeton. I took a year to do an internship. I was the first of what they sort of set up as like a presidential management intern, and the state's attorney office was one of my budget accounts, and it was Jack Johnson. And
wow,
Jack Johnson's staff would say to me when I would come over and talk to them about their budget requests, he's going to be the next county executive. And I was like, no way. No way. It didn't happen.
Knew it already.
But, I'll remind folks here of county commissioners that served jail time and still kept the job.
They were signing documents from behind the cell.
There was orange jumpsuit on.
There's a county commissioner. His name was Sporty George Odd, I think his name was. He was a flamboyant car salesman in St. Mary's who was indicted on federal robbery charges. And
only in Southern Maryland.
Well,
so it happens
all over the country.
Well, hey, you had Mel Franklin, Prince George's, who got to resign.
That's a campaign finance.
Yeah, that was wild
too.
too.
Charter. But yeah. So.
Shout out to the IG.
And in charter, you all couldn't put any regulations on campaign finance or anything.
The one thing we did do is with the Ethics Commission, and you mentioned the hard time to find information. We require that the financial disclosures are made electronically available and searchable. Because right now you have to go to the county attorney, you have to register, you have to get a copy. Not that. I'm talking about because financial disclosures aren't just elected.
Oh, you're talking about that part. Okay.
Senior staff.
Yeah. Oh, wow. You're talking about that. Okay. Cool.
We require that it's electronic and searchable.
Okay. But you all couldn't put anything. I think it's a state law about anything dealing with like campaign finance.
Yeah.
Like, these people can't donate to you.
We tried. We actually there's an early draft where we put developers in.
Really?
But we had to take it out.
Oh.
Yeah, because of that issue.
So it's a state level thing. Okay. Well, let's try to move it through the state.
Yeah. So.
Yo, this was fun. We gotta get together real soon.
Yeah,
always.
Thank y'all.
Yeah. I appreciate it. Hey, sorry for the delay, everybody, but life, work, family balance. But definitely good to get out here with all y'all.
I think it worked
Greg,
out.
Carlos, Angela, definitely appreciate y'all. So
Yeah.
Charles County, appreciate y'all
Thank
too in the
you.
comments.
Yes. Charles County finest here.
Who, BJ?
No, us.
Oh, us.
Yeah, I meant us. But if you want to give other people, some points out there.
Isn't that what usually happens with you?
Well, if I say it, he'll take credit for it, and then he'll give it back to us. I don't know.
Nah, but BJ's welcome here anytime. He's been on the podcast a few times.
Derek
so
said,
definitely love to have him back.
Derek said, follow BJ's developer money. Y'all should look at these campaign finance reports. You would be surprised.
That's why we
saw
know
it.
about the $5,000.
The $5,000. Yeah.
But
who takes money from who?
Thomasina bought District 4.
Yeah.
Yes, she did.
And what?
Why is Amanda taking money from Bill Dotson? I just noticed
That's what I knew.
I noticed that.
Yeah.
Why does BJ have about $40,000 in realtor and developer contributions? So,
Ryan Holmes.
People should start to ask questions, especially when they kind of get on these high horses and start to say, follow the money and developer interest. You actually take a lot of developer money in real estate money.
I think Ralph got money from like Washington Gas or something
So,
too.
I think people should be careful
Serious?
with the stones.
Yeah,
they throw.
I think so.
I think he's got enough problems on his hand right now.
Yeah, because he don't know how to show up to work.
Ooh. Look at the attendance requirement working out in places.
But he gets paid for it.
Shysters.
Yeah, either way, we need to change
That's
one way or
double
another.
dipping at its finest.
September, sometime we get back.
I think that's a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
We'll text Rich
Later,
from
like
there.
after schools kind of get going. And,
Yeah, after Labor Day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
September
Don't wear white.
sounds good to me.
September. All right, cool. They don't care unless it changes their life. Well, we'll keep watching and go from there.
All right. Thank you.
Yo, appreciate y'all. Hey, till next time, we'll come with a schedule.
See y'all.
New guests, getting ready for the fall. Oh, actually, no, it's still summer, right?
Yeah, it's still summer right
Yeah.
now.
Yes.
Late
What,
summer.
September?
Nah, August kind of died down. So.
Yeah, August,
Yeah.
start of fall, then I don't know.
I don't know.
That's September 20th.
Till next time.
Yeah.
What's going on with you? We're good.
Yo, another day in the lab, baby. So it's always a good day.
Oh,
It's always a good day when we in the lab.
It's
You
been-
want policing to be better in your communities? The best policing that you can that can happen in any community are people that's actually from the community and that.
Once again, Rick, host BNY Podcast, now known as What Effing Week with BNY. Dev, how you feeling, man?
I'm in here.
What's good, comment section?
Yeah.
Do we drag our people down when sometimes they don't deserve it?
For sure, absolutely.
In this situation, this man deserves every single dragging that we can do because this is not an example of us.
But you got the angles. You got the knowledge of the game, bro.
This is where you're getting at, the IQ.
Down. Like he's telling you what's going on. He was a bad husband. He was just doing things his way. He's apologizing to his wife like, yo.
Pat ourselves on the back for that one because you ain't giving yourself awards. I mean, who is?
Yeah, no more.
Hey.